Lounging on his throne, the clan leader coldly orders Desmond to leave. The young man kneels in shock, completely blindsided by the sudden decree. His mind reels as he struggles to comprehend the harsh words. Desmond desperately questions Adele, seeking a reason for his abrupt banishment. Adele's patience snaps, his expression twisting into pure rage. He furiously blames Desmond for a failed dungeon raid, citing incompetence and wasted resources. As the leader raises his foot, Desmond scrambles to protest the unfair accusation. A flashback reveals the truth. Adele had ignored Desmond's scouting report to chase after treasure. Before he can speak, a glass bottle is thrown, striking him squarely on the head. The sharp impact leaves a stinging wound, cutting his defense short. The leader deflects all blame, furiously accusing Desmond of making excuses for his own mistakes. He seizes Desmond by the collar, accusing him of trying to frame him for the failed mission. The leader recounts his supposed generosity from a year ago, now viewing Desmond as ungrateful and worthy of death. A woman with striking red hair appears, calmly ordering Adele to stand down. She calmly remarks that while such conflicts are expected in a dungeon, they have no place within the guild's walls. Visibly annoyed, Adele releases his grip as Desmond looks toward the woman, whom he recognizes as Marina. With one last act of contempt, Adele throws Desmond to the ground before turning away. Her attention now on Desmond, the mage inquisitively asks him to explain his unique scouting technique. He reveals his ability as a form of enhanced scent, a detail Marina seems to find particularly interesting. Her friendly demeanor vanishes, replaced by a cold glare as she accuses him of lying about his abilities. Desmond frantically tries to defend his unique enchantment magic, but Marina dismisses his claims as lies. He insists his ability is special, questioning her knowledge of standard enchantment magic. A painful memory surfaces of being mocked for his supposedly weak enchantment boost. Marina smirks, boasting about their team's fame as the supernovas who conquered a B-rank dungeon. She cozies up to Adele, coldly stating their elite party has no room for deadweight. Crushed, Desmond makes a final, desperate plea, reminding them their success was built on his magic. Another party member steps forward, completely unconcerned by the prospect of losing their enchanter. The burly warrior Carazzo reveals he's already found a replacement for Desmond. As Carazzo summons the newcomer, Desmond watches from the floor, his last hope evaporating. A confident B-rank mage with pink hair steps forward, revealed as his skilled and superior replacement. The new mage turns to face Desmond, her arrival sealing his fate as the smug party looks on. With a cheerful smile, she expresses her delight at joining the famous Espada party. Adele looks down with utter contempt, relishing Desmond's visible despair. The leader erupts in cruel laughter, reminding Desmond that a superior replacement leaves him with no ground to stand on. Marina chimes in with a smug grin, coldly confirming his termination as the new recruit watches with amusement. The burly warrior adds his own insult, accusing Desmond of being a parasite trying to leech off their success. The entire party looms over him, with the leader pointing and branding him as worthless trash. Defeated, Desmond finally accepts their decision, agreeing to quit the party he helped build. He turns to leave amidst a chorus of jeers and insults, his former comrades demanding he leave his gear behind. As he walks away, his eyes narrow with resolve, one flaring with a mysterious, brilliant blue light. The brilliant blue light reveals his hidden skill, the appraisal eye, which can analyze stats in detail. He bitterly reflects that without the party, his own skills were too weak to even enter a C-rank dungeon. A memory of their early days flashes by, a time when they happily promised to rise to the top together. The sting of betrayal hits hard. He truly believed they were a team built on trust. Now cast out, he wanders to the edge of town, his future uncertain. He sits alone, staff in hand, contemplating how he can possibly survive without a party. Frustration boils over as he realizes the shame of his dismissal will follow him everywhere. His solitude is shattered when a panicked adventurer sprints past him, running for his life. The adventurer and his companion look back in sheer terror, shocked to find a high-level beast in a low-level area. A terrifying B-rank magic beast emerges, its menacing purple aura confirming their worst fears. The D-rank adventurer trembles, knowing he's completely outmatched by the powerful beast. Suddenly, a confident B-rank mage appears, casting a strength enhancement spell on the terrified man. Her magic proves useless as the beast effortlessly swats the adventurer aside like a fly. The monster looms over the helpless pair, its glowing red eyes promising a swift end. It opens its massive jaws, ready to devour the two adventurers in a single terrifying bite. Watching from afar, Desmond recalls how his own party never truly understood his power. A bitter memory resurfaces of them mocking his weak enchantment, which only boosted stats by 20. But now, Desmond raises his staff, its orb glowing with a mysterious green light. He calmly casts his own version of the strength enhancement spell. A powerful green aura envelops the fallen adventurer, just as the beast lunges for the kill. The adventurer feels an incredible surge of power, his body glowing with Desmond's enchantment. With newfound strength, he miraculously blocks the beast's devastating attack, holding it back with his sword. The B-rank monster growls, stunned and angered by the unexpected resistance from its prey. Both the adventurer and his companion are completely bewildered by the sudden turn of events. The enraged beast shifts its focus, now targeting the defenseless female mage. But the adventurer, enhanced with incredible agility, blitzes past the monster, landing a critical strike. Desmond watches calmly, knowing his power was never a simple +20 enhancement. He reveals the truth. His magic multiplies a person's power by a staggering 20 times. The once helpless adventurer unleashes an attack far beyond his rank, overwhelming the B-rank monster. He stares at his own hands in disbelief, unable to comprehend the power he just wielded. He looks over the town, lamenting that he tried to explain his true power, but his party never bothered to listen. As he stands on the hill, a new figure in brilliant white armor appears before him. A glimpse of her serene face and flowing silver hair hints at her powerful presence. The mysterious woman recognizes him, her gaze fixed on the outcast enchanter. Back in town, Desmond finds himself staring at a bulletin board, a symbol of his need for a fresh start. He sighs, holding a recruitment flyer, the reality of his situation sinking in. To continue his journey, he knows he must find a new party to join. The narrative shifts to explain the world's dungeons, ancient ruins filled with mystery and danger. Within these ruins lie forgotten knowledge and immense treasures waiting to be discovered. Adventurers risk their lives exploring these dungeons, driving the world's economy and humanity's progress. Desmond knows that to explore dungeons, he must find a new party to join. He despairs, realizing his pitifully low stats will make it impossible to find anyone willing to team up with him. He reflects on the absurdity of his enchanter class, which functions with a staggering 0 intelligence. This crippling limitation means he can only cast the most basic spells, a fact that has plagued his entire career. Lost in his gloomy thoughts, he's startled by the sudden appearance of an armored figure before him. The mysterious silver-haired woman cuts straight to the point, asking if he is currently looking for a clan. He turns with a hopeful expression, candidly admitting that he was just kicked out of his previous one. To his surprise, she reacts with indignation, declaring any party that would dismiss him has no eye for real talent. Her passionate defense leaves him completely flustered and struggling to process her words. He finally recognizes the legendary warrior standing before him as the renowned paladin, Cynthia. Cynthia greets him with a warm smile, acknowledging their long separation. Desmond is equally stunned, realizing 3 years have passed since they left their hometown together. The two childhood friends express their mutual surprise and delight at this unexpected reunion. His attention is suddenly drawn to the gleaming emblem on her armor. He recognizes the symbol with awe, identifying it as a legendary S-rank adventurer tag. Desmond insists she should be proud of her status, as S-rank adventurers are among the world's most elite. The ranking system confirms her position at the absolute pinnacle of the adventuring world. Beaming with genuine joy, he expresses his immense pride in his childhood friend's achievement. His heartfelt words cause the legendary paladin to blush, touched by his sincerity. Her unexpected reaction leaves Desmond flustered, a blush creeping onto his own cheeks. A blush spreads across his face as he thinks about how beautiful his childhood friend has grown. He recalls that his entire journey as an adventurer was driven by the desire to one day be her equal. A memory surfaces of them as children, making a pinky promise to conquer an S-rank dungeon together. Back in the present, he feels awkward, assuming she has long forgotten their childish vow. The conversation shifts as Cynthia brings up the name of his old party, Espada. She notes that everyone's been talking about Espada, the up-and-coming party that cleared B-rank dungeons. With a knowing smile, she confidently attributes their success directly to him. Her unwavering belief in his power leaves Desmond utterly bewildered and speechless. She reveals she always knew about his incredible enchantment skills, leaving him stunned that his secret wasn't so secret. Overjoyed by her recognition, he watches as she suggests they can now move forward with their plans. With an excited blush, Cynthia eagerly invites Desmond to join her clan. She excitedly explains that the clan's admission test is scheduled for the very next day. Leaning in close, she passionately insists that with his skills, passing the test will be a breeze. The words entrance exam echo in his mind, causing him to hesitate. He doubts his chances as a D rank, but the thought of joining the clan of the woman he admires is too tempting to ignore. He agrees to give it a shot, causing Cynthia to light up with surprise and joy. Overjoyed by his answer, she declares they should go and apply for the test right away. Without a moment's hesitation, she grabs his hand and pulls him through the streets, much to his surprise. Though he feels unprepared, seeing her this happy brings a genuine smile to his face. His happy-go-lucky mood instantly evaporates into panic as he realizes he has no idea where she's taking him. His panicked question makes her stop in her tracks, looking back in surprise. She apologizes for her haste, revealing her clan's name is Chevalier Garden. Desmond's face pales with shock. He knows that name all too well. They arrive at a grand fortress, the headquarters of Bristol's largest and most powerful clan. This legendary clan is rumored to have the most adventurers and is on the verge of conquering an S-rank dungeon. The sheer scale of it all sends Desmond into a panic, and he immediately tries to back out of the test. Before he can flee, Cynthia gently takes his hand, stopping his retreat. She calmly gets his attention, calling him by his childhood nickname. Leaning in close, she reminds him of their childhood promise to conquer a dungeon together. Her heartfelt reminder leaves him completely flustered, his face turning a deep shade of red. The word promise echoes in his mind, stirring a powerful memory. He's stunned to realize she remembered their childhood vow to conquer an S-rank dungeon together. Her earnestness sends him into a flustered state, his heart pounding with emotion. His romantic haze shatters, replaced by sheer panic as reality sets in. Convinced he's not worthy, he tries to flee, but Cynthia refuses to let him go. Despite his reservations, the day of the exam arrives, bringing him to the imposing clan headquarters. He receives his applicant number 55 and is told to wait for the examination to begin. He nervously accepts, feeling completely out of place among the other applicants. He steps into a vast hall, marveling at the sheer opulence of the clan headquarters. He's taken aback by the sheer number of applicants, realizing the competition is on another level entirely. He clutches his applicant number, still struggling to believe his childhood friend is in this legendary clan. The exam details are announced. Teams of 4 must defeat 10 goblins inside a D-rank dungeon. While waiting, he scans the opulent hall, wondering if Cynthia is somewhere in the building. A sudden announcement cuts through the chatter, startling Desmond and the other hopefuls. All eyes turn to a woman standing on an upper balcony, ready to address the crowd. She reveals that before the exam, they will receive a greeting from Cynthia McDonnell, commander of the 1st Brigade. The other applicants buzz with excitement, but Desmond is stunned to hear her formal title. His face freezes in a look of utter disbelief, trying to comprehend what he just heard. The revelation sends his mind reeling, completely short-circuiting his thoughts. A clan hierarchy chart confirms his shock. Cynthia leads the 1st Brigade, the most elite unit in Chevalier Garden. The 1st Brigade is revealed to be a 5-member team of the world's strongest adventurers, with Cynthia at its center. As the commander is announced, Cynthia herself steps onto the balcony, leaving Desmond utterly dumbfounded. She stands before the crowd, her commanding presence and striking armor silencing the hall. The other applicants are immediately captivated by her beauty, while Desmond can only stare in disbelief. She addresses the hopefuls, welcoming them and urging them to give the exam their all. Her inspiring words ignite the crowd, who cheer enthusiastically for a chance to fight alongside her. Amidst the roaring excitement, Desmond remains frozen, his mind struggling to accept this new reality. The truth hits him like a physical blow, his brain refusing to process the information. As the speech concludes, the applicants begin to move, preparing to form their exam teams. He overhears others dreaming of joining the 1st Brigade, finally connecting that his childhood friend is their legendary commander. He reflects that while he's happy for his friend, her new status feels completely unreal. A wave of loneliness hits him as he feels the distance between them, just as a familiar voice calls his name. Cynthia, now cloaked in a white hood, appears before him with a warm smile, thanking him for coming. Desmond leaps back in shock, completely startled by her sudden and personal appearance in the crowded hall. The other applicants stare in disbelief, their attention now fixed on the mysterious interaction. A wave of excitement ripples through the crowd as they realize the legendary commander is right there among them. Murmurs spread as everyone questions who Desmond is, while Cynthia apologizes for not being able to resist greeting him directly. She leans in to give him a supportive kiss on the cheek, wishing him luck on the exam. Blushing furiously, Desmond stammers his thanks as she pulls up her hood and discreetly departs. He clutches his staff, wondering if the world's strongest paladin really came all this way just for him. Filled with renewed purpose, he grips his staff, ready to prove his worth. He marches forward, now determined to pass the exam and stand by Cynthia's side. His thoughts are shattered when an energetic blonde adventurer suddenly calls out to him. She points at him, asking if he's applicant number 55, leaving him completely bewildered. To his surprise, she reveals her own applicant number is also 55. The realization dawns on him that they must be assigned to the same exam party. The cheerful swordsman strikes a pose, introducing herself as a frontline attacker named Rin. Before he can properly respond, Rin is already waving over another person. A quiet, elegant mage named Dorothy introduces herself, also holding applicant number 55. Desmond is startled by her soft-spoken demeanor, barely managing a flustered reply. A towering figure suddenly steps forward, startling Desmond and his new companions. The gruff dwarf introduces himself as Garand, a shield-bearer, revealing he's their final party member. Stunned by the dwarf's presence, Desmond nervously stammers out his own name and introduction. The energetic Rin happily welcomes him as Desmond suggests a shorter nickname, finalizing the party introductions. The team arrives at the foreboding Dread Skull dungeon, its entrance carved into a massive skull. An official informs the newly formed party that this will be their examination site. The objective is clear. They must either defeat 10 goblins or withdraw to conclude the exam. He assesses the situation, recognizing that even a low-level D-rank dungeon requires careful strategy. His cautious thoughts are immediately interrupted as Rin charges ahead with reckless enthusiasm. He desperately tries to stop her reckless charge, but the examiner simply laughs at her energetic spirit. He overhears other applicants whispering that his new party seems utterly hopeless. Desmond recalls that the team assignments are random, but a terrible realization begins to dawn on him. He learns that Party 55 is not only full of rookies, but is rumored to be the worst in the exam's history. The title of worst party in history sends him into a state of pure, unadulterated panic. He turns to see his teammates, one of whom is excitedly showing off a mushroom, confirming his worst fears. Standing before the dungeon, he can't help but wonder if he's just cursed when it comes to parties. The team has arrived at the infamous Dread Skull dungeon, their designated testing ground. This dungeon was once a treasure-filled B-rank labyrinth, until its power source, the dungeon heart, was shattered. Now downgraded to D-rank, the dungeon is little more than a nest for low-level goblins. Inside, Desmond reflects that while his old party tackled high-rank dungeons, he was always given the smallest share of the rewards. He wonders when exactly his former comrades started treating him with such contempt. He realizes that looking back, he has no fond memories of his time with the Espada clan. He stares at his new, eccentric teammates, trying to understand why they're called the worst in history. Worried they might be dangerous, he cautiously tries to get their attention. His caution is met with a flying tackle from Rin, who pins him to the ground with startling enthusiasm. She cheerfully asks why he looks so grim, completely oblivious to his flustered state. Misinterpreting his expression as hunger, she generously offers him her special snack. She proudly boasts about how delicious her treat is, while Desmond hasn't even had a chance to eat it. Giving in, he takes a bite of the snack, not knowing what else to do. To his complete surprise, he finds the simple snack is actually incredibly delicious. A painful memory shows his old party treating him like a servant, demanding he fetch items for them. He realizes that with his former comrades, he was never even given time to eat properly. The mage, Dorothy, shyly offers him some water, while Garand chimes in with an offer of medicine. Touched by their simple kindness, Desmond gratefully accepts their offer. A smile spreads across his face as he realizes his new teammates, despite their quirks, are genuinely good people. Feeling more at ease, he asks the group why they decided to apply to the legendary Chevalier Garden. Rin cheerfully explains that she's the third daughter of a noble family from the countryside. She reveals her parents disapproved of her dream to be an adventurer, insisting she get married instead. Now she's determined to become the world's greatest adventurer to prove them wrong, as Desmond turns to the dwarf. He asks Garand if a shield-bearer's purpose is to protect everyone, a fact the dwarf simply confirms. Garand declares that protecting people is his duty, a statement that deeply impresses Desmond. Realizing his teammates are kind, Desmond turns his attention to the quiet mage, Dorothy, asking for her story. Dorothy shyly reveals her adoptive parents are in the clan, and she wants to join to repay their kindness. His simple praise sends the bashful mage into a spiral of embarrassment, and she hides her face in her hat. Desmond looks at her with a gentle smile, trying to reassure the flustered mage. He concludes that the worst party rumor must be a mistake, as his new companions are all kind-hearted people. He then sheepishly admits to himself that his own motive is the least noble. He just wants to be with Cynthia. With his mind made up, he grips his staff, filled with a new sense of resolve. He rallies his new team, encouraging them to face the exam together with everything they've got. Fired up, Desmond vows to pass the exam for Cynthia, while Garand casually points out some dirt on his shoulder. Desmond thanks him, but the dwarf suddenly groans and collapses to the ground. The entire party stares in shock as Garand lies motionless on the dungeon floor. Desmond laughs nervously, trying to dismiss the fall as an elaborate joke. He calls out to the fallen dwarf, urging him to get up, but gets no response. The rest of the team's amusement turns to genuine concern as they realize something is wrong. Rin's panicked cry that Garand isn't breathing sends Desmond scrambling for a healing potion. Just as panic sets in, Garand's eyes snap open with a booming laugh. He apologizes for the prank, while Rin playfully scolds him for the scare. Desmond is left speechless as Garand admits he often collapses, though he's trying to be careful. The horrifying realization dawns on Desmond that this might be a regular event. He activates his appraisal eye, determined to understand his new party's true potential. His analysis reveals Rin, their vanguard, has high agility but the strength of a wet noodle. Next, he checks Garand, the shield bearer, who has the vitality of a houseplant. Dorothy notices his grim expression, but he struggles to find the right words. He focuses his gaze, turning his attention to their last hope, the mage. The appraisal shows Dorothy has impressive intelligence, capable of casting powerful spells. He praises her abilities, but his compliment sends the shy mage into a flustered panic. She bashfully admits her crippling weakness. She can only cast a single spell per day. The final nail in the coffin hits Desmond so hard he practically coughs up blood. Her mana pool is so small it confirms his worst fears. They truly are the worst party in history. The grim reality of the worst party in history finally clicks in Desmond's mind. He realizes their attacker, Rin, is too weak to actually defeat anything. Their shield-bearer, Garand, is so fragile he'd go down in a single hit. And their mage, Dorothy, is limited to casting just one spell for the entire day. He concludes that even he, with his basic enchantments, is just as much of a liability. Panicked, he knows he must cast his enhancement spell immediately, or they'll all be wiped out. Just then, Rin spots a horde of goblins confirming his worst-case scenario. Desmond desperately yells for everyone to wait while he prepares his magic. But Rin, with a confident shout, ignores his warning and charges headfirst into the fray. She clashes swords with the first goblin, initiating a fight they are completely unprepared for. Rin's attack fails spectacularly, her pitiful strength leaving her completely overpowered by a single goblin. Unfazed, she comically mistakes the low-level monster for the dungeon boss, completely misjudging the situation. As another goblin charges, Desmond frantically tries to cast his spell, but chaos has already erupted. A sudden warning cry snaps his attention to an immediate threat, his eyes widening in alarm. Just as the goblin attacks, Garand collapses once again, his body hitting the floor with a thud. Desmond stares at his fallen teammate in utter disbelief, frustrated by the dwarf's terrible timing. He mentally scolds the dwarf for his fragility, questioning why he'd even choose to be a shield bearer. Garand, however, pops back up with a heroic pose, declaring that protecting people is his calling. After using their only healing potion, Desmond warns the team that they have no more room for error. His warning proves futile as Garand immediately collapses again, forcing Desmond to use the potion in despair. He stares at the empty potion bottle, a forced smile barely hiding his sheer panic. He spirals into a frenzy, realizing that with no healer, a single hit could spell disaster for the party. Just as a goblin lunges, Rin shoves him out of the way, taking the hit herself. His eyes widen in horror as he watches his teammate take the blow meant for him. He watches helplessly as Rin falls to her knees, surrounded by the jeering monsters. He rushes to her side, furious that their main attacker is acting like a disposable shield. She just offers a sheepish grin, completely unfazed by his frantic lecture. With a determined glint in her eye, she explains she couldn't just stand by and watch a teammate get hurt. Her selfless act leaves him momentarily speechless, struck by her loyalty. His anger fades into genuine concern, warning her that such recklessness could end her adventuring career. He reminds Rin of her dream to become the world's greatest adventurer, questioning her recklessness. She just smiles, explaining that protecting her comrades is more important than any personal ambition. Her selfless words leave Desmond completely speechless, moved by her unexpected loyalty. The moment is shattered as Dorothy frantically announces that 7 more goblins are heading their way. Garand immediately takes charge, ordering everyone to fall back behind his shield. Desmond desperately warns him not to take another hit, reminding him they have no healing potions left. He yells that the next blow will be fatal, but the dwarf simply calls his name to get his attention. Desmond looks on with a tense expression, waiting for the dwarf's seemingly final words. Garand admits he knows he's not strong, but he's willing to fall if it's for his comrades. He smiles with grim determination, declaring that even in defeat, his body can serve as a shield. Desmond is stunned by the dwarf's loyalty, but a quiet voice suddenly interrupts his thoughts. He turns to see Dorothy, the shy mage, looking at him with newfound determination. She timidly reminds him that she can only cast a single spell. She explains her dilemma. Using her only spell now will save them but cost her the exam. Despite the cost, she offers to sacrifice her chance to pass, but Desmond immediately shouts for her to stop. He reminds her of her promise to pass the exam for her adoptive parents. Her grip on her staff tightens, her resolve unshaken by his words. She declares that a victory earned by abandoning her comrades would be completely meaningless. Her selfless declaration strikes a deep chord within him, leaving him speechless. He wonders how these strangers, his teammates for a single day, can already feel such a powerful bond. The team looks on with unwavering resolve, united in their selfless goal. Their unified stance suggests that the bonds of comradeship can form in an instant. Their profound loyalty leaves Desmond utterly stunned and deeply moved. Tears well up in his eyes, a testament to the genuine kindness he's finally found. The emotional moment is cut short as the goblin horde finally descends upon them. Garen braces himself, ready to take the brunt of the attack with his shield. Rin and Dorothy cry out in panic, fearing the inevitable impact on their fragile tank. He takes a devastating blow, the force of the impact rattling his entire body. But instead of collapsing, a powerful watery barrier erupts from his shield, repelling the goblins. He looks down in shock, completely bewildered by the mysterious power now protecting him. The watery barrier explodes outward, sending the entire goblin horde flying. Garen stares in shock, questioning if he truly possesses such incredible defensive power. He quickly dismisses the thought, realizing the newfound strength isn't his own. The team turns to see Desmond, his staff glowing with a powerful green aura, as Rin wonders if this is his doing. Desmond closes his eyes, a calm and determined expression settling on his face. His eyes snap open, now filled with unwavering resolve. A profound realization hits him. He wants to pass this exam with these people and no one else. He understands he's formed a deeper bond with them in a day than he ever did with his old comrades. He confidently tells his new party to trust him and follow his lead. Unleashing his full power, he declares that together, they will all pass this exam. He radiates with power, confidently promising victory if they follow his plan. Taking command, he immediately instructs the hesitant mage, Dorothy, to prepare her spell. She reminds him of the cost, as using her only spell means sacrificing her own chance to pass. His unwavering confidence echoes in her mind, challenging her doubts. Her grip on her staff tightens, her hesitation giving way to newfound resolve. With her agreement secured, Desmond turns to the others, issuing his next command. He orders Rin and Garan to buy time for Dorothy to complete her incantation. To her complete shock, he tasks the weak-hitting Rin with holding the front line. She stares in disbelief at the goblin horde she's expected to face all by herself. Desmond meets her panicked gaze with a look of absolute trust, believing in her potential. Her fear vanishes, replaced by a wide, confident grin as she accepts his trust. Filled with newfound purpose, she eagerly accepts the challenge and charges forward. She faces down the first wave of goblins, preparing to hold the line. With a fierce look, she vows that not a single monster will get past her position. Her sword connects with the first goblin, but this time the impact is completely different. She unleashes a whirlwind of powerful strikes, effortlessly repelling the entire goblin horde. She looks on in stunned amazement, unable to believe her own newfound strength. The once threatening monsters are left defeated and scattered in a newly formed crater. She stares at the devastation, completely awestruck by the power she just wielded. A green glow reflects in her eye as she realizes this is Desmond's enchantment at work. A system message confirms he's cast a strength enhancement, explaining Rin's sudden power boost. As more goblins appear, Desmond turns his attention to Garand, who now glows with a similar green aura. He shouts for the dwarf to focus his efforts on defending the rear of their formation. A new set of enchantments appear, revealing Desmond has boosted Garand's physical abilities and vitality. With his new buffs, Garand is tasked with the crucial role of protecting their mage, Dorothy. The dwarf roars in agreement, his enchanted shield easily repelling the goblin onslaught. He grits his teeth, holding the line with a strength he never knew he possessed. Dorothy watches in amazement as their once fragile tank effortlessly holds back the monsters. Seeing her comrade's newfound power, a look of quiet determination settles in her eyes. Inspired by their leader, she finally unleashes her own powerful magic, a swirling blue vortex of energy. With Dorothy's magic swirling, Desmond asks her to focus on a passage to their right. As she nervously eyes the dark tunnel, he informs her that he's about to enhance her spell. Confused by his words, she's ordered to unleash her full power directly into the passage. He casts his own enchantments, boosting her mental strength and intelligence. A system message confirms her water magic is now amplified, increasing its power, accuracy, and stability. The spell swells to an uncontrollable size, causing the young mage to panic. Overwhelmed by the incredible power coursing through her, she feels she's at her absolute limit. Desmond calmly places his hand over hers, steadying her grip on the staff. He leans in, reassuring her that it's okay and asking for her complete trust. The flustered mage looks back at him, her mind reeling from his proximity and the immense power she now wields. Her blush deepens as she puts her complete trust in him, steadied by his touch. Together, they unleash a supercharged water spell, its power amplified to an incredible new level. He explains his strategy to the dazed mage, revealing they need just 3 more kills to pass. His enhanced senses had already mapped the dungeon, pinpointing a large goblin nest in the next chamber. By amplifying her spell's range, he aimed it to pierce straight through the dungeon wall. The bolt of water magic travels an impossible distance, catching the distant goblins completely by surprise. He reveals this single, perfectly aimed shot is all they need to clear the exam in one fell swoop. With a look of satisfaction, he confirms their plan was a success, having defeated the required number of monsters. The spell's immense power carves a massive new tunnel through the dungeon, shocking everyone. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he realizes he might have overdone the enchantment just a little. The spell's power surges uncontrollably, as Desmond realizes he may have boosted it a little too much. The resulting explosion is so massive, it completely obliterates the Dreadskull dungeon from the landscape. The party sits amidst the wreckage, with Garan sheepishly apologizing for getting carried away by the power boost. Desmond looks on in horror, wondering if their over-the-top victory will get them in trouble. He panics, certain they'll be disqualified for destroying the entire examination site. An examiner approaches, holding up a hand to calm the frantic party leader. To their utter disbelief, the official announces that they have all successfully passed the exam. The examiners are left stunned, noting that the worst party was somehow the fastest to complete the test. The official hands him a card, formally confirming their success and ending the exam. The examiner then showers Desmond with praise, amazed that a D-rank adventurer could wield such incredible magic. Desmond nervously laughs off the praise, just relieved that despite everything, they actually passed the exam. Their success grants them entry into the magnificent Chevalier Garden headquarters. Inside, they are formally congratulated and presented with their official membership cards. An official welcomes them, formally inducting them as members of the legendary clan. Desmond stares at his new card, still processing their unlikely victory as his teammates look on. Rin erupts in celebration, overjoyed that they managed to pass the exam against all odds. She tackles him in a grateful hug, giving him all the credit for their victory as he stammers in embarrassment. Their celebration is cut short as they notice other, more serious-looking adventurers staring them down. The entire room seems to part for them, with every other adventurer pointedly giving them a wide berth. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he realizes the strange, hostile atmosphere is directed entirely at them. Whispers spread through the hall, identifying them as the party that cleared the exam the fastest. The other adventurers are baffled, recalling that Party 55 was supposed to be the worst in history. Desmond overhears the wild rumors about his power, secretly pleased by his newfound reputation. Rin beams with pride, pointing out that everyone is talking about how amazing their leader is. She gives him a friendly nudge, but he stammers, overwhelmed by the sudden praise. Garen tells him not to be modest, insisting his incredible enchantments were the key to their victory. Desmond looks at his teammates, moved by their unwavering faith in him. He tightens his grip on his staff, preparing to deflect the praise. He humbly insists he's just a support class, and that their victory was a true team effort. He turns to his party, declaring that their success was only possible because of everyone's hard work. Rin looks at him with a deep blush, completely captivated by his humble speech. Overcome with emotion, she suddenly proposes marriage, leaving Desmond utterly stunned. The celebratory mood shifts as a new reality begins to set in. Desmond somberly announces that since the exam is over, their temporary party must now disband. The news hits everyone hard, with Dorothy and Desmond sharing a look of quiet disappointment. Rin and Garan stare in disbelief, their triumphant expressions replaced with shock and sadness. A beautiful elf mage approaches, confirming that temporary exam parties are now expected to separate. She hesitates for a moment, seemingly struggling with her own words. The elf tearfully declares that she'll never forget them, calling their group the best party she's ever known. Rin cuts in with a confused look, pointing out their new guild cards assign them all to the very same party. Desmond stares at his card in disbelief, realizing they've all been assigned to the same official party. The group stands in stunned silence, processing the unexpected news that they're stuck together. Their shock quickly melts into joy as they accept their fate as a permanent team. Rin enthusiastically reintroduces herself, while Dorothy hides her face, embarrassed by her earlier tearful goodbye. With a wide, cat-like grin, Rin immediately suggests they go out and celebrate their new status. She insists on a victory party with drinks, a suggestion Garan wholeheartedly supports. Desmond hesitates, his thoughts turning to Cynthia, and his desire to tell her he passed. He looks around the bustling hall, realizing finding her won't be easy now that they're official members. A pang of loneliness hits him, a quiet moment of melancholy amidst the celebration. The scene shifts to an aerial view of the town as the newly formed party heads out to find a tavern. The party arrives at a cozy-looking tavern to begin their celebration. Inside, the tavern is bustling with fellow adventurers as the group finds a table. A mug of ale is raised high, ready for a well-deserved toast. The entire team clinks their mugs together, celebrating their unlikely success and new beginning. Desmond looks at his new comrades with a warm, genuine smile, finally feeling like he belongs. Rin grins playfully, her cat-like fangs showing as she soaks in the celebratory mood. Garand and Dorothy share a look of surprise, their attention drawn to something unexpected. A mysterious girl in a white hood suddenly appears, beaming with an infectious, wide smile. Desmond and Rin stare in confusion at the uninvited guest who has joined their table. The party politely questions the stranger, pointing out that their celebration is a private one. Desmond's confusion turns to dawning recognition as he stares at the stranger. He tentatively asks if the hooded figure is Cynthia, the girl he was looking for. The name sends Dorothy into a state of shock, while Rin comically mishears it. The girl frantically denies her identity, but the party's reaction confirms she's someone important. Dorothy is aghast, questioning Desmond's informal tone and their potential relationship. The hooded girl, Cynthia, shoots a sharp glance from beneath her hood, silencing the table. She sighs and apologizes for the sudden intrusion, admitting her emotions got the better of her. Cynthia shyly reveals she's known Desmond since childhood and came to celebrate his success. Desmond is left blushing and deeply moved that she came all this way just for him. Dorothy is stunned by the revelation, while a flustered Cynthia tries to downplay their connection. Cynthia clarifies that Desmond passed on his own merit, not because she showed him any favoritism. Rin chimes in, readily agreeing that they know Desmond's true strength. She then affectionately hugs Desmond, boasting that his party knows his greatness best. Cynthia watches in jealous shock, flustered by Rin's casual intimacy and nickname for Desmond. The elf mage from earlier tries to de-escalate the situation, suggesting they all drop the formalities. But Cynthia's gloved hand shoots out, silently stopping the elf from interfering. She leans in close to Desmond, challenging Rin's claim to know him so well after just one day. Rin fires back, declaring their life-or-death battle forged a bond deeper than anyone else's. The two women glare daggers at each other, with a terrified Desmond caught in their tug-of-war. Meanwhile, Garand completely ignores the escalating drama, his attention fixed solely on a platter of food. Garand blissfully announces the food's arrival, completely oblivious to the tension. The tense atmosphere inside the tavern ruins any hope of a peaceful celebration. Outside, the tavern looks peaceful, a stark contrast to the drama unfolding at their table. Rin tries to feed Desmond a piece of meat, escalating her claim on him. Not to be outdone, Cynthia offers him a spoonful of her own dish. Desmond breaks out in a cold sweat, trapped between the two competing women. He's caught in a culinary crossfire as both Rin and Cynthia try to win his affection. The two women begin to argue over which food is better for him, ignoring his obvious distress. Dorothy finally intervenes, pointing out that their rivalry is making Desmond uncomfortable. Her well-meaning but completely unhelpful suggestion to drink milk only adds to the chaos. Garand blissfully slurps his pasta, completely ignoring the tension as Desmond offers a strained compliment. With a forced smile, Desmond politely tries to refuse their offers, insisting he can feed himself. His refusal falls on deaf ears as both Rin and Cynthia lean in, demanding he make a proper decision. They both plead their cases, with Cynthia citing their childhood friendship and Rin their party bond. Desmond's attempt to clarify they're just talking about food leads to a wild misinterpretation from a blushing Rin. As Rin gets lost in her fantasy, Desmond desperately tries to bring her back to reality. The misunderstanding spreads as a flustered Cynthia now questions Desmond's newfound boldness. Cynthia melts into a blushing mess, wishing that boldness was directed at her instead. Frustrated by the stalemate, Cynthia slams her hand on the table, determined to settle things. The two rivals face off, deciding to settle once and for all who Desmond will choose as he cowers between them. The two rivals debate their food choices, each convinced their dish is the superior option for Desmond. Meanwhile, Garand enjoys the feast, oblivious to the drama as he racks up a mountain of empty plates. Rin's competitive spirit flares as she orders even more food, determined to win the feeding Desmond contest. Their argument is cut short as Garand's towering stack of plates begins to teeter precariously. Desmond shouts a frantic warning as the tower of dishes comes crashing down towards the table. Both women look at Desmond with hopeful blushes, each expecting him to leap to her rescue. Cynthia is left splattered with sauce, her expression turning from hopeful to utterly unamused. Rin shares the same fate, her face covered in food as her competitive confidence evaporates. But instead of saving either of them, Desmond instinctively shields Garan from the culinary catastrophe. He looks up with a sheepish grin, struggling to explain why he chose to save the dwarf over them. The two women glare, realizing the falling plates could have been disastrous for the oblivious dwarf. They both reach a silent, grim conclusion. Garand was the true source of all the chaos. In a surprising twist, Rin grabs Cynthia, pulling her into an unexpected alliance. Their rivalry forgotten, they decide to team up for a night of heavy drinking, much to the elf's shock. Desmond reflects on the chaotic but joyful turn of events, finally getting a proper victory party. Rin is shown completely flushed, having clearly embraced the celebratory spirit a little too enthusiastically. Later that night, Garand carries the passed-out Rin as Dorothy tries to keep their rowdy group in check. Desmond sincerely thanks Cynthia for celebrating with them, and she looks back with a bashful smile. Dorothy reflects on the night, realizing this is her first real celebration with a party of comrades. He looks genuinely happy, admitting he was glad she could be there to share in their success. A deep blush spreads across Cynthia's face as she admits she's glad she came. She confesses she's happy they can now be in the same clan together. Desmond laughs, pointing out that their respective brigades are still quite far apart. She confidently predicts that with his talent, he'll be in her top-tier brigade in no time, leaving him flustered. Her gaze turns serious as she insists her high praise is completely genuine. Cynthia then smiles, adding that she's glad he found such interesting party members. She calls them pleasant people, just as the scene shows the rowdy aftermath of their celebration. He nervously recalls their lack of respect for her authority, promising to have a word with Rin. Cynthia admits that while the group celebration was fun, her tone suggests there's something else on her mind. Leaning in, she reveals her true desire, to celebrate his success with just the two of them. Desmond is taken aback by her forwardness, causing her to quickly retract her statement in a fluster. She regains her composure, smiling under the moonlight as she declares she'll be counting on him from now on. Her confident facade cracks, revealing a deep blush as she shyly utters his name with affection. He's left equally flustered, a gentle blush spreading across his face as he processes her heartfelt words. As they part ways for the night, he quietly agrees that he's counting on her too. The next morning, the newly formed party begins their first day as official members of the clan. Their first stop is a well-stocked alchemy shop to prepare for their next adventure. Inside, they marvel at the impressive collection of colorful and potent-looking potions. The party's elf mage expertly identifies various elixirs, from healing potions to powerful antidotes. With shared determination, they agree to fully equip themselves for their first official mission. Desmond suddenly remembers to ask an important question about their finances. He asks Dorothy if they need to split the cost of their new supplies. Dorothy cheerfully explains that the clan will cover all their expenses, much to his surprise. He's moved by the clan's generosity, recalling how he had to pay for everything in his old party. This support strengthens his resolve, realizing the clan has placed great faith in them. After stocking up on a massive amount of clan-funded potions, they exit the shop. His thoughts turn to his former comrade, Adele, wondering about his current situation. The scene shifts to the Briston Northern District, revealing the site of their first mission. They stand before the entrance to the C-rank dungeon known as Green Bites. Meanwhile, deep inside the dungeon, the silver-haired swordsman Adele struggles to catch his breath. His new party members look on with concern, shocked by their lack of progress. The party's tank grits his teeth, sweating under the pressure of the relentless assault. A horde of goblins surges forward, their glowing eyes filled with unexpected ferocity. Adele clenches his jaw in frustration, unable to understand his own powerlessness. He questions how his supposedly strong party is struggling against such weak monsters. A goblin leaps at him, seemingly baffled by how easily it can overpower the adventurers. The creature swings its club with surprising speed, catching the swordsman completely off guard. Adele barely manages to block the attack, the force of the impact rattling his arms. The blow sends him stumbling backward, completely overwhelmed by the monster's strength. His horrified teammates cry out as their lead attacker is easily knocked down. The party's mage recoils in fear as goblins close in around her. She desperately calls for their tank to protect her from the oncoming monster. The party descends into chaos, with the tank overwhelmed and yelling at the mage to use her own magic. Their tank questions why she isn't casting spells, but she insists she's unable to, leaving Adele to watch in disbelief. Seething with frustration, Adele realizes his party is completely falling apart. With no other choice, he orders a full retreat, activating an emergency teleportation scroll. The party reappears outside the dungeon, completely exhausted and defeated from the ordeal. Adele furiously demands an explanation, baffled at how they failed a C-rank dungeon against mere goblins. The tank wonders if they made a mistake, but the healer confirms they were in the right low-level dungeon. She weakly suggests they might just be having an off day, though her own expression is filled with doubt. The support mage questions Adele's defeated party, while he internally doubts their rumored strength. Adele erupts, furiously blaming the support mage's ineffective enchantments for their humiliating defeat. The pink-haired mage recoils in disbelief before her expression hardens with rage. She retorts sharply, shifting the blame back onto the rest of the party for their own powerlessness. She calls out their tank, pointing out his complete inability to hold the line against the monsters. Next, she criticizes their mage for casting only a few feeble spells before becoming useless. With a sneer, she reminds Adele that he, their lead attacker, was effortlessly taken down by a mere goblin. The support mage mocks the so-called Espada party, calling them pathetic weaklings who shouldn't blame her. Adele seethes with fury, his knuckles white as he struggles to contain his anger at her words. Snapping completely, he grabs the mage by her collar, his face contorted with rage as he threatens her. Unfazed by his threat, the mage glares back defiantly, telling him to stop. Adele cries out as he's suddenly thrown backward with surprising force. With a single effortless shove, she sends the swordsman sprawling to the ground. His head hits the dirt with a humiliating thud, adding insult to injury. He grits his teeth in disbelief, utterly stunned by his own powerlessness. The other party members watch in horrified silence as their team completely falls apart. The support mage looks down on him with a smug, condescending smile. She openly mocks his pathetic attempt at intimidation, laughing at his weakness. With a final, cutting remark, she dismisses him as simply weak. Adele's eye glows with murderous intent, his fury reaching its absolute peak. The mage calmly informs him there's no need to fire her as she takes a step away. She quits on the spot, refusing to work with such a useless group and warning them to stay away. With a final huff of disgust, she turns her back on the humiliated party and walks away. Adele seethes with impotent rage, cursing his complete and utter failure. He unleashes his frustration on a nearby rock, lumping all enchanters, including Desmond, into the same category. Clutching his head, he spirals into a rage, convinced every enchanter he's met is useless and annoying. The scene shifts back to the magnificent Chevalier Garden headquarters, a stark contrast to Adele's misery. Desmond's eyes sparkle with excitement as he thinks about their very first official mission. He clenches his fist, filled with determination to make his first job for the clan a resounding success. He dreams of climbing the ranks, hoping to one day stand beside Cynthia in the elite 1st Brigade. The party assembles for their first day, with Rin full of energy and Desmond politely greeting his new comrades. Desmond wonders about their first mission, while Dorothy reasons it will likely be a simple dungeon search. Rin confidently assumes their first job will be easy, earning a gentle reminder from Dorothy not to underestimate any task. A wide smile spreads across Desmond's face, genuinely happy to be undertaking a mission with this team. As the briefing room doors open, his excitement grows, ready for the adventure to begin. The scene cuts to a tense standoff between two stern-looking men, hinting at trouble elsewhere. Another group of adventurers is shown, their expressions filled with anger and animosity. The camera reveals a large hall filled with adventurers, a palpable tension hanging in the air. Desmond's party is taken aback by the sudden shift in atmosphere, sensing something is wrong. They notice the other clan members whispering amongst themselves, creating an air of mystery and concern. Rin celebrates their newfound fame, believing everyone is talking about their record-breaking exam performance. But the whispers tell a different story, accusing them of getting into the clan through powerful connections. Desmond's happy expression fades into confusion as he overhears the hostile rumors. A group of resentful adventurers confronts them, annoyed by what they perceive as arrogance. The rumors get more specific, pointing out Desmond's connection to the high-ranking Cynthia. Dorothy is also targeted, with others whispering that she too has a powerful guardian within the clan. The crowd's resentment boils over, with adventurers openly calling them cheaters and frauds. The entire hall turns against them, demanding the pathetic party leave immediately. Desmond desperately tries to defend his team, insisting it's all a misunderstanding and they didn't cheat. A commanding voice from a balcony above suddenly silences the angry mob, bringing the confrontation to a halt. The resentful adventurers glare, their faces etched with suspicion and jealousy. The entire hall watches with hostility, their collective gaze fixed on the newcomers. Desmond and Dorothy look up nervously, wondering who has come to their aid. A man with a bottle in hand addresses the crowd, announcing the presence of the 5th Brigade's new party. He introduces himself as Brant, the captain of their brigade, leaving Desmond and Dorothy stunned. Desmond's mind reels in disbelief, unable to accept that this disheveled man is their leader. Their new captain is revealed to be completely drunk, offering them a slurred, overly familiar greeting. A vice captain on the balcony desperately tries to rein in her intoxicated superior. Ignoring her, the captain clumsily decides to proceed with the mission briefing. He drunkenly announces their first assignment is to search the treacherous Imbail ice cave. Their primary objective is to retrieve the legendary Gem of Wisdom from the dungeon's depths. The crowd erupts in disbelief, recognizing the gem as a high-tier B-grade item. An adventurer furiously points out the ice cave is a B-rank dungeon, far too dangerous for them. Another member confronts Desmond, demanding an explanation for this seemingly impossible task. Desmond realizes the horrifying truth. Their D-rank brigade is being sent into a B-rank dungeon where they'll be completely wiped out. The adventurers panic, envisioning their swift and certain demise at the hands of powerful monsters. Their captain drunkenly admits that even with his own powerful magic, their success is far from guaranteed. He smirks, cryptically telling them this is the Chevalier's policy and a lesson in what it means to be a member. The party is left utterly baffled, trying to decipher the true meaning behind their captain's ominous words. Desmond's mind races, considering the sheer scale of the Chevalier clan and what their true purpose might be. Desmond comes to a horrifying conclusion. The clan sees D-rank adventurers as completely expendable. From the balcony, their drunk captain casually tells the panicked crowd to settle down. A sly, knowing smile spreads across his face as he prepares to reveal another truth. He coldly confirms their suspicions, admitting that they are indeed just replacements. The hall erupts in outrage as the adventurers reel from the captain's blunt confession. Desmond struggles to accept this cruel reality, realizing the dark side of a large organization. He desperately tries to reconcile this harsh truth with the clan that Cynthia belongs to. The atmosphere in the hall grows thick with hostility as other adventurers voice their anger and fear. With a strained expression, Desmond silently prays that the day's chaos has finally reached its peak. Their captain ignores the uproar, explaining they've gathered 6 parties for a mission based on sheer numbers. A diagram reveals the massive scale of the 5th Brigade, showing Desmond's party is just one of many cannon fodder groups. The captain declares one party will lead the mission, demanding the others follow their orders like dogs. Desmond watches the other adventurers' simmering rage, unimpressed by the captain's condescending tone. He desperately hopes to avoid the leadership role, only for the captain to announce party number 55 has been chosen. To his horror, the captain officially appoints Desmond's party as the leaders of the entire expedition. The hall erupts in silent fury as every other adventurer glares daggers at the newly appointed leaders. Disbelief and resentment spread through the crowd, who clearly see this as an act of favoritism. From his balcony, the drunk captain gives a final, slurred farewell, completely unconcerned with the chaos he's caused. The briefing room doors slam shut, trapping the 6 parties in a room thick with tension. Desmond forces a pained smile, feeling the weight of 5 hostile parties ready to tear his team apart. The party is intimidated by the sheer scale of the Chevalier headquarters as they prepare for their mission. Their destination is revealed, the treacherous and massive Mesvel ice cave. Dorothy confirms their fears, explaining the B-rank dungeon is known for its high difficulty. They cautiously enter the cave, immediately hit by a bone-chilling drop in temperature. A single step onto the slick, frozen ground highlights the perilous environment. Desmond looks on in amazement as he learns the magical ice dungeon is continuously expanding. He marvels at the ancient artificial structure, with walls and pillars carved entirely from ice. Rin playfully reminds everyone to stay alert, though her cheerful demeanor contrasts with the danger. She skips ahead, surprised that she doesn't feel the cold despite her breath turning to mist. Desmond proudly reveals his magic is at work, having already cast a cold resistance buff on the entire party. The girls are amazed as Desmond explains his enchantment negates the need for bulky winter gear. Rin marvels at his versatile magic, while he humbly notes it will need to be recast eventually. She grabs his arm excitedly, showering him with praise for his incredible talent. Rin jokes about wanting him as a personal heater, clinging to him as he looks on awkwardly. He tries to bring her back to reality, warning that they can't afford to let their guard down. As he speaks, another adventurer's spiked boot slips precariously on the slick ice floor. The man stumbles forward, his fall sending him crashing directly into Desmond. Desmond is knocked to the ground, with Rin calling out his name in alarm. The adventurer who fell furiously blames Rin, but she retorts that he should be the one apologizing. The leader of another party intervenes, angrily accusing them of messing around instead of focusing on the mission. The rival party's leader sneers, openly voicing his hatred for adventurers who rely on connections. Rin furiously stomps her foot, vehemently denying his accusations while getting comically enraged. The adventurer who fell smirks over his shoulder, convinced their leadership role was secured through cheating. The entire expedition turns on them, their voices rising in a chorus of threats and demands for them to leave. Desmond desperately tries to calm the mob, while a fuming Rin complains about all the noise. Fed up with the insults, Rin's expression hardens as she decides to prove their worth through action, shocking Desmond. She boldly challenges the entire group, ready to demonstrate her skills instead of listening to rumors. The rival leader's eye twitches with rage, clearly provoked by her defiant challenge. He furiously accepts her challenge, as his own party members prepare for a brawl, much to Desmond's horror. The rival leader rallies his troops, ordering them to attack and forcibly eject the cheaters from the dungeon. Desmond desperately pleads for cooperation, reminding the hostile group that they are all supposed to be allies. His words are completely ignored as the furious adventurers charge forward, ready to attack. Unfazed by the mob, Rin smirks and leaps into action, ready to take them all on herself. Desmond suddenly panics, realizing with dizzying horror that his enchantments aren't working as intended. The rival adventurers mockingly surround him, sarcastically praising his attempt to protect his party. An attacker lands a solid blow to Desmond's face, furiously accusing him of cheating his way into the clan. With a bloody nose, he tries to protest their innocence, insisting it's all a misunderstanding. His pleas are met with a brutal kick, as his attacker scoffs that all cheaters claim innocence. The angry mob pins him to the ground, venting their frustration about his perceived special treatment. While Desmond is being overwhelmed, Rin fiercely engages another adventurer, blocking a powerful strike. Rin's eyes burn with fury as she prepares to unleash her counterattack. She lands a powerful kick, sending the surprised adventurer reeling from the impact. Her opponent stares back in confusion, completely unfazed by the direct hit. Rin recoils in pain, realizing her attack had no effect on the surprisingly durable man. Impressed, she praises his resilience, mistaking him for a famous tank who nervously denies the title. The other parties, now convinced it's all nepotism, decide to overwhelm them with numbers. As they charge, the rival adventurers slip and slide on the treacherous ice floor. Rin finds herself quickly restrained by the angry mob, unable to fight back effectively. Dorothy is also cornered, calling out in distress as the situation spirals out of control. A single firm step echoes through the cave, signaling the arrival of an unknown figure. Dorothy's eyes widen in alarm as she senses a new unseen danger. The sound sends a ripple of confusion through the other adventurers who halt their attack. Lying on the ground, Desmond realizes his enchantment is interacting with the dungeon in an unexpected way. As his attacker moves to kick him, Desmond desperately tries to finish casting his spell. Dorothy cries out a desperate warning, trying to get everyone's attention. She pleads with the hostile parties to stop, sensing the imminent danger is far greater than their petty squabble. The rival leader scoffs, telling them the only way out is to quit the Chevalier clan entirely. As she's restrained, Dorothy frantically tries to warn them about the treacherous ice beneath their feet. Suddenly, razor-sharp ice spikes begin to protrude from the dungeon floor, revealing a hidden trap. The other adventurers freeze, realizing with dawning horror that their brawl has just activated the dungeon's defenses. The rival adventurers stare in stunned silence, unable to comprehend the sudden danger. The entire ice floor shatters, revealing a deep, dark abyss beneath them. Dozens of adventurers are sent plummeting into the newly formed chasm. The group cries out in shock and pain as they tumble through the air. Rin and the rival tank slide uncontrollably down a steep, icy incline. Dorothy's party desperately tries to regain their balance on the treacherous slope. The rival leader screams in terror, realizing the floor has completely disappeared. He and his party members flail wildly, trying to stop their descent. Desmond watches in horror as an adventurer falls past him into the spike-filled trap below. Desmond and the others are sent into a freefall, their faces contorted with fear as they drop into the chasm. Razor-sharp ice spikes glint menacingly, promising a grim fate for those who fell. The few adventurers left on the ledge cry out in horror, watching their comrades vanish into the trap. A wide view reveals the devastating aftermath, with dozens of adventurers strewn across the icy pit. The survivors stare in shock, believing their entire expedition has been annihilated in an instant. Other adventurers who avoided the fall are frozen in disbelief, unable to comprehend the disaster. But just as all hope seems lost, a mysterious green aura surrounds a hand, neutralizing the deadly ice. The remaining adventurers, including Dorothy and the rival leader, are baffled by this sudden turn of events. All eyes turn to Desmond, who is now glowing with the same protective magical energy. Dorothy's expression shifts from shock to curiosity, trying to understand the source of the magic. The fallen adventurers look at their own hands in amazement, realizing they are alive and unharmed. An adventurer realizes he took no damage, observing that the ice spikes shattered against his body. The fallen adventurers erupt in celebration, overjoyed to find they are all completely safe. The rival leader expresses his relief, but his mind races to understand how they survived the certain doom. His eyes narrow with suspicion as he scans the area, searching for the source of this miracle. His gaze finally settles on Desmond, who is lying on the ice floor, still glowing with protective magic. Despite his injuries, Desmond is the epicenter of the green aura, his staff pulsing with power. The rival leader and his companions stare in utter disbelief, struggling to accept what they're seeing. The other adventurers look up from the pit, their hostility replaced with awe and confusion. Desmond grits his teeth, the green energy flickering as he struggles to push himself up from the ice. He manages to rise, explaining he cast a body enhancement spell on everyone just in time, but warns it's temporary. He warns them the protection is temporary, and they must find a way out before more traps activate. Spurred into action, the rival leader orders everyone to use ropes and pull the fallen adventurers up. The once hostile parties finally work together, rescuing their comrades from the icy chasm. After a frantic effort, the rival leader confirms that all the adventurers have been safely evacuated from the pit. With the immediate danger over, Desmond's strength finally gives out and he stumbles on the ice. He collapses to his knees from exhaustion as his teammates rush to his side in alarm. The rival adventurers watch in stunned silence, realizing Desmond was casting his spell even as they attacked him. The rival leader had assumed the enchantment was only for Desmond's teammates, but now he understands the truth. A flashback reveals Desmond was desperately trying to cast the protective spell on his very own attackers. The rival leader finally grasps that even while being brutalized, Desmond's only thought was to save them. The rival leader and his party stare in stunned silence, their previous animosity completely gone. The other adventurers look on, their faces a mixture of guilt and disbelief at what just happened. The rival leader's eyes narrow, the weight of his actions finally dawning on him. He recalls Desmond's earlier plea for them to act as comrades, a memory now filled with shame. With a grimace, the rival leader makes a silent decision to atone for his mistake. He approaches Desmond's party, offering them recovery potions as a gesture of peace. Desmond humbly apologizes for using so many resources, much to his teammates' concern. Rin bows deeply, taking full responsibility for the brawl and apologizing for not heeding his warning. Desmond looks on, surprised by her apology and the sudden shift in the group's dynamic. The once hostile adventurers now eagerly offer their own items, overwhelming the party with gifts as compensation. Desmond stares in disbelief as Rin presents an armful of recovery items from the other adventurers. The rival leader awkwardly scratches his head, formally apologizing for his earlier outburst. He extends a hand in peace, acknowledging Desmond's true power and asking for his help as a comrade. The sudden shift to respect leaves Desmond's entire party stunned and speechless. Even his attackers apologize profusely, making him cringe with their overly familiar nicknames. With the conflict resolved, the once hostile adventurers now celebrate their newfound unity. But from the shadows, a mysterious new adventurer observes the scene with a smirk. She identifies the party from the exam rumors and sets her sights on recruiting their talented enchanter. Suddenly, the ground rumbles as a massive ice creature begins to form from the dungeon walls. The unified adventurers turn to Desmond, their new leader, asking how their D-rank parties can possibly survive. Desmond thoughtfully acknowledges the dungeon's true danger, a plan already forming in his mind. He proposes a simple solution to the confused adventurers: just avoid all the enemies and traps. With a determined look, he reveals his audacious plan to neutralize the dungeon by destroying its core. He explains to the group that shattering the core will weaken the dungeon, making their mission far easier. The rival leader considers the new objective, but questions the logistics of finding the core in such a massive place. Desmond dismisses a simple search as inefficient, pointing out it would turn into a race against other parties. A map reveals the dungeon is a complex maze, and he reminds them they aren't the only ones searching its depths. The rival leader grimly agrees, knowing that other groups would gladly steal their hard-earned treasure. A spark of inspiration hits Desmond as he declares his new decisive strategy for the entire group. He lays out the plan. His party will spearhead the assault on the core while the others secure the area and collect loot. The rival leader questions if Desmond's small party can handle retrieving the Gem of Wisdom alone. Desmond confidently declares they can succeed, trusting in his powerful multiplication enchantment. He theorizes that the clan's true intention was for the large group to split up and tackle different objectives. The other adventurers remain skeptical, remembering the captain's cruel words about them being expendable. Desmond struggles with this harsh reality, refusing to believe Cynthia's clan could be so callous. Pushing his doubts aside, he rallies the entire expedition, who cheer in unified agreement to succeed. With a determined expression, Desmond prepares to lead the charge, Rin excitedly following his lead. Even his former rivals shout their support, now fully committed to the new unified strategy. The camera pans up to the glittering, frozen ceiling of the vast dungeon. Their path is revealed, a long, treacherous ice corridor leading deeper into the unknown. The party ventures deeper into the glistening, frozen labyrinth. Desmond's expression grows serious as he takes charge of their new path. He quickly warns Rin away from a dangerous route, pointing them toward a safer passage. Desmond reminds his own small party to stay vigilant against the dungeon's hidden traps and monsters. As their tank Garan speaks up, Desmond listens with a thoughtful expression. The dwarf admits he's relieved they managed to make peace with the other adventurers. A warm smile spreads across Desmond's face as he wholeheartedly agrees with his new comrade. He recalls the initial chaos, feeling lost and overwhelmed by the accusations of cheating. But now he realizes that everyone is much kinder than he ever expected. Surrounded by newfound friends, Desmond discovers the simple joy of camaraderie and teamwork. He stresses to his party that their plan absolutely cannot fail. A diagram illustrates the grim alternative. Without the core's destruction, every party will inevitably be wiped out. He apologizes for taking the lead on such a risky mission, but asks for their full support. With unwavering conviction, Desmond declares his simple, heartfelt goal to ensure everyone survives. Rin breaks the tension with a confident laugh, wholeheartedly accepting his leadership. She playfully teases him for being too formal, rallying the group with a more energetic and unified spirit. But their moment of camaraderie is cut short by an unfamiliar voice from the side. Desmond and Rin turn in surprise, caught off guard by the sudden interruption. The mysterious adventurer from before steps forward, confidently offering to join their crucial mission. A flustered Desmond is left completely speechless, having no idea who this new group is. The mysterious adventurer introduces her group as Party Number 24, approaching Desmond's team. Their leader, a woman named Meryl, gives a confident and alluring smile. A stoic man named Gant introduces himself with a cool, appraising look. Another member, Zaneri, gives a shy but smug introduction. The final member, a quiet adventurer named Gin, timidly introduces themselves. Desmond warily asks what she means by joining them, but Meryl simply reaffirms her intentions. She argues that his small party is vulnerable and would be much safer with her group's help. Meryl then shifts her focus, praising Desmond for the incredible enchantment he cast earlier. She suddenly pulls the flustered enchanter into a tight embrace, declaring she's taken a liking to him. Meryl boldly tries to recruit him on the spot, leaving his teammates completely stunned and furious. Rin furiously tells Meryl to back off, declaring that Desmond belongs to their party. Unfazed, Meryl reveals she's heard the rumors and now understands their situation completely. Her stoic companion questions how they passed the exam so quickly, despite their reputation as the worst party. Meryl correctly deduces that Desmond's power alone carried his otherwise weak teammates through the exam. Rin erupts in fury as Meryl condescendingly pities Desmond for being stuck with such weak companions. With a sly smile, Meryl suggests that if they truly cared for him, they would let him join a stronger team. Her words hit their mark, leaving Rin, Dorothy, and Garen speechless and filled with self-doubt. Dorothy's hand clenches into a tight fist, her silent fury building at the blatant manipulation. Desmond struggles against Meryl's grip, desperately trying to defend his teammates and deny her claims. His eyes burn with conviction as he struggles to make her understand the truth of their teamwork. Rin explodes with rage, reminding Meryl they are the same rank and staking her claim on Desmond. Meryl scoffs at the comparison, insisting her strength is far superior to Rin's trash level. A comically enraged Rin demands clarification on the type of trash, leaving Desmond bewildered by her focus. Meryl's companion Gant calmly explains that his leader is stubborn and always gets what she wants. Garen playfully teases Desmond about his newfound popularity, while Gant confirms Meryl's determination to recruit him. The argument devolves into a fierce face-to-face shouting match between the two rivals. Utterly exhausted by the drama, Desmond comically decides to withdraw from the conflict entirely. Rin and Meryl corner him, demanding he choose which party he will join. Overwhelmed by the pressure, Desmond comically melts into the ice floor to escape their bickering. He resurfaces with a strained smile, trying to explain that he doesn't have to choose between them. A loud cracking sound echoes through the cave, stopping their argument cold. The bickering parties look around in alarm, wondering about the source of the noise. Ignoring the danger, Rin dashes off toward the sound, prompting a panicked warning from Desmond. Dorothy and Garand agree to follow Rin, but Meryl tries to stop Desmond from leaving. She grabs his arm, insisting he come with her and her stronger party instead. Meryl presses her point, asking if he wouldn't rather have powerful allies than weak ones. Desmond pauses, his expression unreadable as he considers her manipulative question. He calmly rejects her logic, much to the surprise of Meryl and her stoic companion. With a genuine smile, Desmond explains that their supposed weakness is precisely what makes them a great team. His heartfelt response leaves Meryl completely speechless and confused. Desmond's eyes widen as a sudden, chilling realization dawns on him. He finally understands the clan's true policy. The D-rank adventurers were always meant to be disposable. Rin's urgent cry snaps him back to reality, alerting him to the immediate danger. Taking command, Desmond declares that his party and Meryl's will form a joint team to destroy the core. The newly formed alliance ventures down a long, foreboding ice corridor. Two parties, once rivals, now walk side by side into the dungeon's depths. The temperature suddenly plummets, causing a party member's potion to crack and freeze solid in his hand. He recoils in shock, realizing the potion froze instantly just from touching the icy wall. Rin suddenly calls out to Desmond, pointing toward a new discovery up ahead. In the distance, menacing figures made of pure ice begin to stir, revealing a dangerous new enemy. Jagged shards of ice begin to crackle and coalesce from the dungeon wall. The ethereal crystals rapidly form into the powerful limbs of a new monster. A colossal ice golem with a single glowing eye towers over the adventurers. The group stares in horror as Dorothy identifies the creature as an ice golem. The rival leader pales, realizing they've stumbled upon the dungeon's final boss. But before the golem, a smaller wolf-like ice creature snarls menacingly. The golem's eye glints, locking onto the much smaller ice wolf in front of it. A powerful blue aura flares around the golem as it prepares to strike. It raises its massive arm and smashes it down, completely obliterating the smaller monster. The ice wolf is instantly shattered into 1,000 pieces, demonstrating the golem's overwhelming power. The entire group stares in stunned silence, their faces comically frozen in a state of pure shock. Peeking from behind a wall of ice, the adventurers collectively agree that the situation is dire. While the others panic and suggest a retreat, Rin spots something crucial behind the monster. A golden beam of light illuminates their target, the dungeon core sitting right behind the colossal golem. The group despairs, realizing they have to defeat the final boss to complete their mission. Rin confidently steps forward, reassuring the panicked adventurers that everything will be fine. She cheerfully declares that with Desmond's enchantments, the boss will be no match for them, much to his unease. Desmond's eye glows with a brilliant blue light as he activates his appraisal skill to assess the threat. A holographic window appears, scanning the ice golem to reveal its hidden strengths and weaknesses. The results are horrifying, showing the golem's stats are far beyond anything they've ever faced. Desmond calmly explains that while his magic multiplies stats, it has a crucial limitation. The sheer power of the golem seems to warp the very air around them. The rival leader's hope shatters as Desmond confirms that even with his enchantments, they cannot defeat the golem. Desmond apologizes, admitting their base stats are simply too low for his magic to bridge the power gap. The adventurers stare at the golem in despair, believing their mission is now impossible. But Desmond refuses to give up, his mind racing as he searches for another solution. He reveals a new plan. They can't defeat the boss, but they might be able to withstand its attacks. He proposes casting a powerful vitality enhancement on everyone to drastically boost their defense. With their defenses buffed, they can simply ignore the golem's attacks and rush straight for the core. A comical depiction shows Rin gleefully chipping away at the golem's leg, illustrating their new, reckless strategy. The rival leader recalls the impressive enchantment that saved them earlier, but remains skeptical. He leans in, questioning if a simple defense buff can truly withstand the golem's overwhelming power. Desmond tries to calm their nerves, but the others are still shaken by the sheer audacity of the plan. He confidently reassures them that he's checked their stats and their enhanced defense will be more than enough. But his confident expression falters as he realizes someone is missing from the group. Desmond looks around in confusion, calling out for Rin, who has suddenly vanished. Without waiting for the plan, Rin recklessly charges forward, demanding Desmond cast his spell. The party panics, realizing their hot-headed brawler has jumped the gun before her defenses are up. Meryl watches the chaotic scene unfold, muttering in disbelief at Rin's foolishness. She wonders how anyone could have such blind faith in magic to charge headfirst into certain danger. Rin fearlessly launches herself at the colossal golem, completely ignoring the mortal danger. The golem's massive eye swivels, locking onto the tiny, reckless attacker with surprise. The rest of the party panics, urging a stressed-out Desmond to cast the enhancement spell immediately. With a determined shout, Desmond begins to channel his magic, a green aura flaring around him. His eyes narrow in intense concentration as he focuses all his power into the spell. But to his shock, the enhancement magic fails to activate, leaving him utterly confused. He looks down to see the crystal on his staff has been completely encased in a block of solid ice. Desmond's face contorts in comical horror as he realizes his primary weapon is useless. A flashback reveals he accidentally touched the super-chilled wall, freezing his staff just like the potion. He panics, realizing that without his staff, he's completely unable to cast his crucial enchantments. Dorothy and the others look on in shock, realizing the enchantment failed at the worst possible moment. The golem's massive eye glints, locking onto its now defenseless target. With Rin completely exposed, the colossal monster prepares to unleash a devastating attack. Rin's confidence wavers as a storm of razor-sharp ice shards hurtles toward her. The golem unleashes a deadly barrage, sending a volley of ice spikes directly at the brawler. Her eyes widen in terror as she finally comprehends the mortal danger she's in. The party watches in horror, certain that their reckless teammate is about to be annihilated. But at the last second, Meryl dives in, tackling Rin to the ground and out of the line of fire. Meryl glares down at the stunned Rin, urging her to move before the golem strikes again. The golem's eye cracks with fury, enraged that its initial attack was thwarted. The golem unleashes another volley of ice spikes, forcing Rin and Meryl to scramble for cover. The rest of the party watches in terror, realizing the two barely survived the onslaught. Back on their feet, Meryl glares at Rin, furious at her recklessness as the golem prepares to strike again. The monster's crystalline body glows with power, drawing in loose ice shards to amplify its next attack. Rin's eyes widen in alarm as she notices Meryl has been injured in the chaos. A close-up shows a large ice shard has pierced through Meryl's leg armor. Meryl grits her teeth in pain, realizing she was wounded while saving her rival. Overcome with guilt, Rin grabs Meryl's arm to steady her. Rin supports the injured Meryl, a new sense of responsibility in her eyes. Meryl urges Rin to escape, but Rin fiercely refuses, insisting she won't abandon the one who just saved her life. As another deadly volley of ice shards rains down, Rin defiantly holds her ground with the injured Meryl. But the attack is suddenly blocked, shattering against a massive, newly formed ice shield. Rin and Meryl look up in stunned disbelief, wondering where the miraculous protection came from. Their savior is revealed to be Garand, who rushed in with his shield just in the nick of time. With a determined glare, the dwarf warns them he can't hold the position for long and urges them to move. But his heroic moment is cut short as he comically trips and faceplants onto the ice floor. Meryl panics as Rin warns that the golem is already preparing its next devastating assault. The three adventurers huddle together in comical terror, completely out of options. Suddenly, a wave of intense fire erupts from behind them, melting the incoming ice spikes mid-air. Rin and Meryl stare in utter shock, completely baffled by the appearance of fire in a frozen dungeon. The party's mage, Dorothy, reveals she neutralized the attack with a powerful spell, stunning Rin with her hidden strength. However, Dorothy comically collapses, admitting she's completely out of mana after that single, powerful cast. The other adventurers panic, realizing their situation has only gotten worse with more people now stranded and in danger. A panicked Desmond orders the others to regroup, desperately trying to regain control of the situation. He grips his frozen staff, his mind racing as he frantically searches for a way out of their impossible situation. The weight of their failure crashes down on him as he blames himself for the chaos. He recalls his arrogant plan, realizing his overconfidence in his own magic has doomed them all. A single tear escapes his eye as he's overwhelmed by the horrifying thought that everyone will die because of his mistake. The cruel words of his former party echo in his mind, calling him useless and incapable. Utterly defeated, he accepts their harsh judgment, believing he truly is powerless to save anyone. He sinks into despair, believing he's nothing more than an incompetent burden to his team. The other adventurers spiral into chaos, completely lost without a leader to guide them. Even Rin seems to accept their grim fate, a look of strained resignation on her face. But his moment of self-pity is violently interrupted by a hand grabbing his shirt. The rival leader yanks him forward, demanding to know what he's doing. With a flushed face, the rival leader angrily calls him useless, trying to provoke a reaction. Desmond is completely stunned, jolted out of his depressive state by the sudden confrontation. The rival leader then challenges him, asking if he truly believes he's worthless. A tearful Desmond looks up, finally understanding his former rival's desperate attempt to help. The rival leader scolds him for giving up while everyone else is fighting, comically revealing he was drinking on the job. The rival leader defensively insists his drinking is a crucial part of his strategy as a medic. He then begins pouring the bottle's contents directly onto Desmond's frozen staff. Desmond stares in utter confusion, wondering why his staff is getting an alcohol bath. The rival leader proudly explains his clever tactic. Alcohol doesn't freeze in these temperatures. A helpful diagram explains the scientific principle behind alcohol's low freezing point. He admits that the liquid alone is only as effective as lukewarm water against the thick ice. But when combined with his own body heat, it becomes a powerful de-icing agent. Hope sparks in Desmond's eyes as he witnesses the ice on his staff begin to melt away. As the staff thaws, the golem's relentless assault continues in the background. Razor-sharp ice shards continue to fly, reminding them their time is quickly running out. The stranded party members brace for impact, their faces etched with fear and resignation. The rival leader grimly accepts their fate, acknowledging they can't evade the attacks forever. Meryl urges him to save everyone, but he comically refuses, insisting he'd rather be saved himself. As the golem prepares another assault, the rival leader despairs, convinced a B-rank dungeon is insurmountable. The golem unleashes a blinding wave of power, its sheer force overwhelming the adventurers. Desmond watches with intense focus, the pressure mounting as his friends face certain doom. But a sudden green aura envelops the group, leaving them stunned to find they've survived the blast. Rin looks up in disbelief, recognizing the familiar surge of protective magic. With his staff finally free, Desmond stands firm, unleashing a massive enchantment that shields his allies. He calmly announces his recovery, as a system window confirms the successful cast of his enhancement magic. The rival leader comically complains about getting frostbite from his own clever de-icing strategy. Re-energized by the enchantment, the entire party cheers for Desmond, their hope fully restored. Desmond's staff pulses with immense green energy, now fully operational and ready to be unleashed. With his confidence reignited, Desmond stands tall, prepared to turn the tide of battle. His eyes burn with a newfound resolve, his moment of weakness completely erased. The ice golem's eye glints, sensing the sudden and dramatic shift in power from the adventurers. He grips his staff tightly, asking his allies if they are prepared for the final push. With a unified battle cry, the newly empowered party prepares to launch their assault. A green magical footprint appears on his staff, hinting at an unconventional new tactic. Desmond roars the command to attack, unleashing the full force of his magic. Rin feels her vitality and strength surge as Desmond's powerful enchantments take hold. The rival party members are also enveloped in the green aura, their mana recovery greatly enhanced. Dorothy's mental fortitude is bolstered, allowing her to focus her magic under extreme pressure. The rival medic's frostbite instantly vanishes, a testament to the newly amplified healing magic. Undeterred, the ice golem unleashes another massive volley of razor-sharp ice shards. But this time, the empowered adventurers gracefully evade the deadly projectiles with ease. Meryl confidently taunts the golem, effortlessly weaving through its once unstoppable attacks. Rin lands with a triumphant grin, finding the once lethal assault to be almost trivial. A panicked Desmond desperately tries to get their attention, reminding them of the true plan. He redirects their focus to the real target, the glowing dungeon core just behind the colossal boss. Desmond stomps his staff down, declaring that destroying the core is their only path to victory. Now glowing with power, Rin confidently accepts the mission and rushes forward. With a fierce grin, she prepares to deliver the final blow, certain of their success. But the ice golem retaliates, its eye locking onto her as it swings its massive arm. Dorothy cries out in warning as she sees Rin charging directly into the monster's path. Rin's confidence shatters as she realizes the golem's attack is aimed right at her. She's thrown back by the force of the impact, barely managing to withstand the blow. Dorothy rushes to her side as a frustrated Rin laments how close she was to the core. The rival party members watch in horror as the golem prepares to strike again. Their despair deepens as they see the dungeon core suddenly encased in a thick, protective layer of ice. The adventurers watch in dismay as the dungeon core begins to sink into the golem's body. The rival medic shouts in frustration, realizing the monster is trying to hide its only weakness. As the core sinks deeper, they realize that once it's gone, their mission will be a complete failure. The rival party members panic, desperately asking what they're supposed to do now. But as panic spreads, Desmond's eyes narrow with steely resolve, a new plan already taking shape. He takes command, shouting out his new plan for a diversion tactic. He explains the strategy. Everyone will draw the boss's attention, creating an opening for one person to strike the core. Meryl immediately volunteers for the crucial role, confident that her speed is unmatched. The core is now almost completely out of sight, giving them only one shot at victory. United by a single purpose, the entire party surges forward to execute their final, desperate gambit. The party members taunt the golem, desperately trying to draw its attention. Its massive head turns, its single eye filled with growing annoyance at the distractions. Garand and the rival medic comically stumble around, successfully making themselves irritating targets. The golem takes the bait, its crystalline body crackling as it prepares to crush the decoys. Seeing the opening, Desmond shouts the signal for their real plan to begin. Rin's eyes narrow with fierce determination, ready to seize the critical opportunity. She sprints across the ice, a tiny figure charging toward the colossal, distracted monster. The rival leader watches with a strained expression, desperately hoping she makes it in time. Dorothy and the others can only watch in terror, praying for their plan to succeed. Meanwhile, the decoys barely evade a massive ice spike, showing the true danger of their role. With a look of steely determination, Desmond knows the fate of his comrades rests on this single, crucial strike. He's haunted by a vision of his former party, their smug faces a painful reminder of his past humiliation. With incredible speed, Meryl launches herself into the air, aiming a decisive blow at the golem's weakness. Her face contorts with fierce concentration as she pours every ounce of her strength into the attack. With a final desperate shout, she slams her blade down, shattering the ice around the core. But instead of shattering, her sword meets an unyielding surface with a jarring impact. A wild, triumphant grin spreads across her face, certain that she has destroyed the core. But the reflection in her eye reveals a horrifying sight. The core is now protected by a new crystalline barrier. She looks down in shock to see her blade stopped cold by a thick, newly formed layer of protective crystal. The other party members cry out in shock, their faces a mask of horror as they realize the final gambit has failed. They realize the golem is intelligently defending its core while simultaneously attacking them. The rival leader's face drains of color as the grim reality of their situation sinks in. Desmond's hope completely shatters, convinced that they are utterly doomed. He stares at the reinforced core, believing their one and only chance has been lost forever. The glowing core continues to recede, threatening to disappear from their reach entirely. The rest of the party watches in terror as their window of opportunity rapidly closes. A single tear escapes Desmond's eye as he finally accepts their complete and utter defeat. But a defiant shout cuts through the despair, refusing to let them surrender. The sudden cry snaps Desmond out of his stupor, his eyes widening in surprise. It's Rin, her face a mask of fierce determination as she rallies her defeated comrades. Inspired by her defiance, the rival party's archer grips his bow with renewed purpose. The others look on, startled by this sudden, unexpected burst of action. The archer launches himself into the air, knocking an arrow as he soars toward the golem. He roars that if one person's attack fails, another will always be there to follow up. His defiant cry strikes a chord with Desmond, who looks up with dawning comprehension. He recalls the clan leader's cruel philosophy, now seeing it in a new defiant light. Channeling all his power, the archer unleashes a single brilliant arrow of light. The projectile streaks across the battlefield, a golden blur aimed at the golem's weak point. The golem's eye cracks, registering the incoming threat just a moment too late. With a thunderous impact, the arrow strikes the crystalline shield, shattering it on contact. The rival medic panics, realizing the golem will regenerate its shield before the arrow can strike the core. With a determined cry, Dorothy refuses to let their final chance slip away. She unleashes a powerful fireball, aiming to clear a path for the incoming arrow. The golden arrow continues its trajectory, flying through the fiery explosion toward its target. In a brilliant flash of light, the arrow pierces the exposed dungeon core. Desmond and the rival leader stare in utter astonishment at the impossible success. The entire party, including a wide-eyed Rin, watches the scene unfold in disbelief. The other adventurers look on, their expressions a mixture of shock and dawning hope. A massive crack spreads across the dungeon core, which then shatters into 1,000 glowing fragments. Desmond's face is a mask of pure shock and relief as he processes their unbelievable victory. Dorothy and the rival leader can only stare as the glowing fragments of the core rain down. The other adventurers are equally dumbfounded, their faces frozen in disbelief. Desmond's jaw hangs open, the reality of their impossible victory slowly sinking in. The ice golem's body begins to crack and fall apart, its power source completely obliterated. As the monster collapses, a massive wave of frigid water erupts from the ground, engulfing the battlefield. The party is suddenly drenched, shivering uncontrollably as the dungeon's temperature plummets. The icy walls of the chamber begin to groan and shatter, revealing the stone structure beneath. A massive stone pillar emerges from the melting ice, changing the landscape of the room. An ancient stone archway is revealed, hinting at a hidden passage or the way out. The party stands in the middle of the thawing dungeon, realizing their victory has triggered a massive transformation. A flashback shows Desmond's initial shock upon discovering the entirely frozen dungeon. The memory focuses on the imposing figure of the ice golem, a seemingly invincible guardian. The rival leader playfully reminds Desmond of his own theory about destroying the core to defeat the monster. Dorothy and a stunned Rin look on, waiting for the official word on their success. With a firm grip on his staff, Desmond prepares to make their victory official. The entire party erupts in cheers as they officially declare the mission a resounding success. His former rivals now shower him with praise, acknowledging his incredible leadership. An ecstatic Rin tackles Desmond with a hug, but he humbly deflects the credit for their victory. With a grateful smile, he acknowledges that their victory was only possible because everyone was there. A final flashback shows the daunting golem and its glowing core, a stark reminder of the challenge they conquered as a team. As the celebration continues, the party's attention is caught by an unexpected glowing object. A brilliant red artifact, the legendary Gem of Wisdom, materializes before them. The rival party members stare in shock, realizing their quest item was hidden here all along. Meryl smirks as the others celebrate conquering a B-rank dungeon and completing their task. Before anyone can react, she swiftly snatches the valuable gem out of the air. Her sudden move leaves Desmond and the rival party completely dumbfounded. With a triumphant and provocative gesture, she claims the treasure as her own. She then dangles the gem as bait, offering Desmond a place in her party if he wants it. The rival leader glares, annoyed that Meryl is still trying to poach their star player. Meryl just grins, declaring that his performance has only made her more determined to recruit him. Rin furiously confronts Meryl, arguing that the treasure was a team effort and belongs to everyone. Meryl scoffs at the accusation, clutching the gem as the rival leader timidly asks to see it. She defiantly refuses, declaring the gem is her leverage to force Desmond into her party. Meryl then turns to Desmond, smugly asking what he plans to do about the situation. His expression darkens with annoyance, clearly fed up with her manipulative games. In a shocking twist, the rival leader suddenly lunges at Meryl, demanding she surrender the gem. The force of the sudden attack leaves Meryl stunned and reeling from the unexpected impact. A crazed, flushed look appears on the rival leader's face, proud of his aggressive move. Desmond stares in utter disbelief, completely caught off guard by his rival's violent outburst. Dorothy and Garand are equally frozen in shock, watching the chaotic scene unfold. Rin and the rival archer can only stare, completely stunned by the sudden turn of events. In a shocking betrayal, a silver-haired swordsman from the rival party strikes down both Meryl and the other leader. A flash of red reflects in Desmond's eye as he witnesses the brutal, unexpected attack. The rest of the adventurers are left speechless, unable to process the sudden betrayal. The traitor then turns on Desmond, landing a vicious blow that sends him to the ground. Desmond cries out in pain, completely caught off guard by the assault from a supposed ally. As the traitor stands over him, Rin and Dorothy rush forward, their faces a mask of fury. The traitor's own party members react with outrage, horrified by his sudden turn. The archer furiously demands an explanation from his teammate, identified as Gin. Jin calmly reveals the stolen gem, declaring his sanity and confirming his deliberate betrayal. Gin stands over his downed comrades, revealing the gem was his true objective from the start. He coldly explains that he would have preferred a peaceful resolution, but Meryl's refusal forced his hand. The archer stares in disbelief, reminding Gin of their supposed friendship. Jin scoffs at the notion, pointing to the fallen Desmond as proof that some people are just meant to be used. The archer's eyes widen in horror as he recalls a past conversation, realizing his own party preys on others. With a sinister grin, Gin reveals his allegiance to a criminal organization known as the Black Underarm. Rin and Dorothy are frozen in shock, barely able to comprehend the name of the infamous group. The traitor laughs, confirming he only infiltrated their party for his own gain and never considered them friends. The archer grits his teeth, his face contorted with rage at the devastating betrayal. Overcome with fury, the archer unleashes an arrow, aiming to strike down his treacherous former ally. Jin clicks his tongue in annoyance, his eyes cold and dismissive of the incoming attack. He effortlessly deflects the arrow with his sword, deeming the attempt completely futile. The archer watches in disbelief as Gin mocks his strength, claiming to already know his limits. Jin scoffs at the rest of the party, revealing their enhancement magic has faded, leaving them powerless. He smugly reveals his own power level is far beyond C rank, a fact he had kept hidden. The archer's face twists with frustration, realizing the massive gap in their abilities. Rin and Dorothy glare defiantly, their anger mixing with the dawning horror of their situation. Garand sweats nervously as Jin explains that with his identity revealed, there's no need for pretense. The traitor glances at his fallen comrades, confirming he has no intention of leaving any witnesses. With a sinister grin and glowing red eyes, Gin declares his intent to eliminate everyone present. With a single word, Gin lunges forward, a blur of motion intent on finishing them all. Desmond lies motionless on the icy ground, completely at the mercy of the traitor. The remaining adventurers can only watch in horror as the silver-haired swordsman closes in. His mind fades into darkness, overwhelmed by the pain and the shock of the betrayal. The archer clenches his jaw, cursing their powerlessness in the face of this overwhelming threat. He screams at Rin and the others, realizing their only hope is to scatter and run for their lives. Taking charge, the archer hoists the unconscious Desmond onto his back, ready to make a break for it. But Gin instantly appears before him, his blade ready to cut down any who dare to flee. A cruel smile spreads across Gin's face as he promises that no witnesses will be leaving this dungeon. The archer desperately tries to block the attack, but Gin's blade descends with unstoppable force. The archer's eyes widen in terror as he stares down his own demise. He braces for the final blow, shielding the unconscious Desmond with his own body. But Gin's expression twists with annoyance as his attack fails to connect. The archer glances back, his initial shock turning into grim defiance. Dorothy and Garand can only watch, stunned by the sudden turn of events. Rin's eyes narrow, a flicker of understanding dawning as she watches the scene. The traitor is thrown back, completely baffled as to why his powerful strike was ineffective. Gin fumes, certain that their enhancement magic had faded and left them defenseless. Rin's cry draws the archer's attention to Desmond, who is now conscious and alert. As Desmond coughs, the archer realizes their protector is the one who somehow stopped the traitor's attack. Jin furiously tries to understand how his attack was blocked, replaying the moment Desmond was struck down. The archer sheepishly admits he misjudged the situation, while Desmond glares, still recovering. With a sinister grin, Gin admits he hesitated to eliminate Desmond, thinking he might have some use. Now filled with regret, he brandishes his blade, furious he didn't take out the biggest threat first. The remaining party members watch the confrontation, their expressions a mix of shock and defiance. Deciding it's not worth the trouble, Gin dismisses them, having already secured the gem. He turns and flees toward the exit, choosing to retreat with his prize rather than continue the fight. Jin glances back with a mocking wave, taunting the party for their naive trust and how easily they were manipulated. Gin's cruel words about the convenience of allies strike a nerve, fueling Desmond's rage. Desmond clenches his fist in frustration, finally understanding the true meaning of teamwork and the pain of betrayal. Desmond is crushed by the weight of their failure, realizing the gem is gone and their plan is in ruins. A defiant voice suddenly declares that the real idiot is Gin, catching everyone's attention. Dorothy and Garand look on, stunned by the sudden act of defiance. The source of the defiance is Meryl, who pushes herself up from the ice despite her injuries. With a fierce glare, she scolds the traitor for his arrogance and for underestimating them. She scoffs at their shallow alliance, certain he never bothered to learn her true abilities. As the others watch in confusion, she reminds the traitor of a crucial detail he overlooked. She then reveals her true class is a thief, triumphantly holding up the gem she just pickpocketed from him. Desmond is completely stunned by the unexpected reversal, his hope suddenly rekindled. Dorothy and Garand are equally flabbergasted, unable to believe what they're seeing. Garand and Rin stare with open-mouthed shock at the unbelievable turn of events. The traitor frantically checks himself, demanding to know when she possibly could have stolen the gem back. With a bloody but triumphant grin, Meryl declares that he got exactly what he deserved. Furious at being outplayed, Gin retaliates with another brutal strike, sending Meryl to the ground. Desmond urgently orders the medic to heal their fallen comrades as Gin lingers near the dungeon exit. A sinister, condescending laugh escapes the traitor, clearly amused by their desperate situation. The remaining adventurers turn toward the sound, their faces a mixture of anger and apprehension. Gin admits with a sneer that he underestimated them, infuriated at being bested by those he considered trash. His eyes glow with a menacing light as he vows to return and eliminate every last one of them. The party recoils, the chilling weight of his threat hanging heavy in the air. With a final taunt, Gin warns that his organization is everywhere, planting seeds of doubt about their allies. The traitor vanishes into the dungeon exit, his chilling words echoing in the now empty chamber. The remaining adventurers stand in stunned silence, processing the brutal betrayal they just survived. As the injured rival leader awakens with a furious shout, the party prepares to evacuate the dungeon. Their first mission with the Chevalier Garden officially concludes as the wounded are carried out on stretchers. The unconscious faces of Meryl and the rival leader are a stark reminder of the high price of their victory. The weary party finally emerges from the icy dungeon, leaving the chaos and betrayal behind them. Desmond stands with his team, soberly reflecting on their successful yet incredibly costly mission. He clutches the recovered gem, having learned a harsh lesson about the importance of comrades and unity. Desmond accepts that his new path means he will inevitably face more dangerous enemies who prey on the trust of others. The party returns to the grand and imposing Chevalier Garden headquarters. A cheerful Rin greets her comrades, her energy completely restored after the grueling mission. Dorothy and Garand check on Rin's condition, but she confidently brushes off any concern. Rin credits Desmond for her well-being before asking her teammates about his whereabouts. Dorothy explains that Desmond has been summoned by the commander to report on their mission. She expresses concern, noting how pensive Desmond has been since the betrayal, leaving his friends worried. The scene shifts to a door labeled Commander's Office, where Desmond's debriefing is taking place. Inside, a laid-back commander greets Desmond with a wide grin, praising him for a job well done. The commander casually remarks that appointing Desmond as the leader was clearly the correct decision. Desmond remains stoic, offering a simple thanks, his expression unreadable in the face of the praise. The commander casually sips from a bottle, completely unfazed by the serious nature of their report. He tries to cheer Desmond up, insisting he should be celebrating the brigade's greatest achievement yet. But Desmond remains somber, acknowledging the success came at a great cost and was a team effort. The commander's playful demeanor shifts as he correctly guesses Desmond is worried about their injured comrades. He confidently reassures Desmond, explaining that while their injuries were severe, they are in good hands. The scene shifts to the treatment room where the wounded are being cared for. The commander boasts about the garden's top-notch medical team, who are already working to ensure a full recovery. He even reveals that the medics are capable of reattaching a severed limb, highlighting their advanced skills. The rival leader is also shown resting peacefully, under the care of the medical staff. Despite the reassurance, Desmond is racked with guilt, convinced that if he were stronger, his allies wouldn't have been hurt. The commander reminds Desmond that he did more than enough, just as he was instructed before the mission. He explains the mission's true purpose was for Desmond to learn the meaning of camaraderie and resolve. Desmond admits that this newfound understanding is precisely why he's now terrified of a repeat incident. His eyes burn with fear at the thought of his new precious friends getting hurt again. The commander yawns dismissively, while his aide observes the exchange with a neutral expression. Having said his piece, Desmond gives a final bow and exits the commander's office. He walks alone down the long, quiet corridor, lost in his heavy thoughts. The aide worries that leadership was thrust upon Desmond too soon, but the commander seems to understand. He speculates that Desmond has never had true comrades before and is shouldering too much of the burden. The aide adjusts her glasses, a flicker of understanding crossing her face as she considers the commander's insight. The commander knows Desmond is on the verge of breaking, but sees this painful experience as a necessary trial. The aide promptly confiscates the commander's drink, much to his dismay. Meanwhile, Desmond continues his solitary walk down the corridor, his footsteps heavy with thought. He looks back, consumed by uncertainty and questioning his next move. His mind is flooded with traumatic images of the battle and Gin's brutal betrayal. He thinks of his new, smiling comrades, terrified by the thought of any of them dying on his watch. The traitor's chilling promise to return and eliminate them echoes in his memory. The memory of the violent betrayal flashes across his face, a look of sheer horror in his eyes. Overwhelmed with dread, he resolves to do whatever it takes to prevent losing his friends. His expression suddenly shifts as a new, desperate idea begins to form in his mind. He suddenly finds himself in a vast, unfamiliar hall, the corridor he was in now gone. Utterly disoriented, he looks around, trying to understand where he has been taken. He realizes he's in a part of the Chevalier Garden he has never seen before. A sinister smile greets him from the shadows, belonging to a mysterious, white-haired figure. The figure welcomes him, revealing that they intentionally lured him to this secluded location. Startled by the voice, Desmond demands to know the identity of his unseen host. Before he can get an answer, a pair of glowing red eyes flash in the darkness. Desmond's eyes widen in alarm as he senses an imminent, powerful attack. He is violently struck by a barrage of unseen projectiles, sending him flying backward. He hits the ground hard, grimacing in pain from the sudden and overwhelming assault. A foot hovers over Desmond's head as he questions who his new assailant could be. His eyes widen, trying to process the sudden appearance of another powerful foe. The mysterious woman reveals herself, stating she's heard of his unique enchantment spell. With a sharp-toothed grin, she offers a disturbingly cheerful greeting. A wave of pure terror washes over Desmond as he senses the immense danger. He scrambles to his feet, instinctively recognizing her as an overwhelming threat. His eyes glow blue as he activates his appraisal skill to identify the mysterious woman. A flash of light emanates from his eyes as the skill takes effect. Desmond is left utterly speechless by the shocking information his skill reveals. He clenches his fist, unable to comprehend the unbelievable truth he has just uncovered. His appraisal reveals stats so impossibly high, he can only conclude she must be an S rank. He stares up from the floor, completely bewildered by the sudden appearance of this powerful woman. A menacing grin spreads across her face as she reveals her connection to the black underarm. The name hits him like a physical blow, his eyes widening in pure terror. Her chilling smile returns as she points forward, announcing she has come specifically to end his life. He processes the name, finally understanding the true scale of the danger he's in. A memory of Gin flashes in his mind, confirming the Black Underarm is a hostile group targeting the garden's members. The weight of her deadly promise sinks in, causing a cold sweat to beat on his forehead. He never expected the enemy to strike so soon, much less inside the heavily fortified garden itself. His worst fears are confirmed as he stares up at the smiling face of a true S-rank assassin. Desmond realizes he's the only one who can stop this S-rank assassin from reaching his friends. The assassin smirks condescendingly, as if she can read his very thoughts. A sudden gasp escapes him as he prepares to make his move. She effortlessly swats away his magical attack, declaring his efforts completely futile. With a triumphant laugh, she mocks the idea that any strategy could overcome her immense power. He's thrown back by a powerful blow, struggling to defend against her relentless onslaught. His face contorts in pain and disbelief as he's overwhelmed by the force of the attack. The S-rank assassin looms over him as he's violently slammed into the stone floor. Battered and bruised, he struggles to push himself up from the ground, completely outmatched. She taunts him with a ball of fire, reminding him that his greatest strength is useless when he's all alone. Trapped in a fiery vortex, Desmond desperately searches for a way out, knowing time is running out. The intense flames close in, threatening to consume his very silhouette. A massive explosion of fire erupts, obscuring everything from view. But through the smoke, a single foot lands firmly, radiating a green, protective energy. With a determined look, Desmond activates his enchantment magic, boosting his own vitality to survive the blast. The assassin lets out a condescending laugh, amused by his desperate attempt to stay in the fight. She dismisses his efforts, unleashing a wave of dark energy and declaring his struggle pointless. Desmond grits his teeth, a look of frustration on his face as he confronts the overwhelming power gap. He knows that even with his enhancement magic, his stats are no match for hers, but he refuses to give up. She watches his internal struggle with a smug smile, finding his desperate resolve utterly foolish. The assassin holds a ball of dark energy, declaring him disqualified from the fight. Desmond's eyes widen, the green glow of his enchantment still flickering as he processes her words. She unleashes a maelstrom of dark power, her form twisting into something monstrous. With a terrifying grin, she announces that his end has finally come. A look of utter disbelief crosses Desmond's face as he stares up at the overwhelming power. She bids him a glorious end as she prepares to unleash a final, devastating attack. He stares into the abyss of her magic, realizing he's completely powerless to stop her. His eyes reflect the purple glow of his impending doom, his resolve finally breaking. But a familiar voice cuts through the chaos as Dorothy suddenly appears, looking concerned. Both Desmond and the assassin are stunned by the unexpected interruption, turning toward the newcomer. Desmond stares in disbelief as the assassin's dark magic crackles and dissipates, calling out to his master. The deadly orb of energy vanishes, leaving a chibified Desmond utterly bewildered. The dangerous hall is suddenly filled with falling confetti and flower petals, adding to his confusion. He can only stare blankly, completely unable to comprehend the bizarre turn of events. The S-rank assassin proudly takes credit for the beautiful display, her menacing aura completely gone. Desmond struggles to find words, baffled by her sudden and drastic change in appearance. The mysterious woman cheerfully introduces herself as Rafim Nolan Master Noah. She then reveals she is Dorothy's foster parent and magic teacher, a member of the elite 1st Brigade. Desmond's mind reels as he processes that the 1st Brigade consists of only 5 members, placing her at the very top. The sheer shock of the revelation echoes through the halls of the Chevalier Garden. The terrifying illusion shatters, returning them to a lavish room as Desmond stares in awe at Rafim. He realizes with a jolt that the entire deadly arena was just a pocket dimension created by her magic. Dorothy angrily confronts her master, demanding to know why she attacked Desmond, but Rafim calls it rough guidance. Desmond is utterly baffled by her explanation, unable to process the life-or-death battle as a simple lesson. Rafim reveals she's heard of his impressive enchantment skills and exam results from the commander's aide. She cheekily adds that when she actually met him, he was already wallowing in despair on the verge of giving up. Her teasing words leave Desmond completely flustered and unable to grasp the situation. Rafim then turns the tables, demanding to know why he chose to fight her when he was so clearly outmatched. Her pointed question leaves him speechless, unable to justify his desperate actions. She gets in his face, calling him a complete idiot for recklessly standing his ground instead of running from a fight he couldn't win. Desmond justifies his decision, believing that fleeing would have doomed his friends. Rafim coldly points out the flaw in his logic. He would have fallen first, leaving his comrades defenseless anyway. She scolds him for his foolish bravery, insisting the smarter move was to run and call for backup. Her harsh lesson begins to sink in, leaving Desmond stunned into silence. Rafim clarifies she didn't expect him to rely on just any low-level adventurer for help. She reminds him of the powerful S-rank allies at his disposal, including the commander and herself. A cold sweat forms as he realizes the simple, life-saving option he completely overlooked. Rafim correctly deduces that he's shouldering all the blame and trying to be a one-man army. Dorothy joins the lecture, questioning his solitary approach while Rafim emphasizes the futility of fighting alone. With a frustrated shout, Rafim demands to know why he refuses to trust and rely on his powerful allies. Desmond's eye reflects a dawning realization as Rafim's words finally sink in. He struggles to form a response, completely at a loss for words. Dorothy gently takes his hand, her touch a silent plea for him to understand. Looking him in the eyes, she earnestly agrees with her master's harsh but necessary lesson. She insists that he stop carrying the burden alone, as they must share the responsibility. Dorothy explains that the entire team feels the same guilt, wishing they could have done more. Leaning in, she reminds him that just as he cares for them, they care for him too. With a heartfelt expression, she admits it feels lonely when he refuses to rely on them. Her sincere words finally break through his shell, leaving him visibly stunned. Overwhelmed by emotion, his eyes well up as he finally accepts he's not alone. He berates himself for his foolishness, finally grasping the true meaning of being in a party. Tears of relief stream down his face as he understands he has a whole team to depend on. As his friends comfort him, he feels the heavy burden on his heart finally begin to lift. Rafim watches the emotional scene with a knowing, almost mischievous smile. While Dorothy embraces him, Rafim fondly dismisses his emotional turmoil as a sign of youth. Rafim admits she was curious about him, judging him to be inexperienced but with good potential. She cheekily observes Dorothy's obvious crush, realizing her feelings go far beyond simple friendship. She mischievously considers teasing Dorothy about their little meeting, eager to see her reaction. Just then, a silver-haired woman in full armor appears in the doorway, her expression unreadable. Rafim smoothly glides over to greet the newcomer, leaving a still-recovering Desmond with Dorothy. The armored woman watches with tears in her eyes, clearly jealous of the intimate moment. Rafim's casual comment only serves to stoke the newcomer's fiery rage. Unfazed, Rafim simply smiles, enjoying the chaos she has created. Her laughter echoes as she ominously suggests that some situations are beyond even her help. Meanwhile, a flustered Desmond wipes away the last of his tears, embarrassed by his own vulnerability. He apologizes to Dorothy, who calmly reassures him that his emotional display was welcome. He admits his embarrassment, especially about where he ended up crying, but she's just glad he trusted them. The memory of the moment causes his mind to short-circuit. He becomes completely fixated on his embarrassing blunder. Overwhelmed with mortification, Desmond freezes up, his face burning red. He internally panics, desperately trying to rationalize his embarrassing emotional breakdown. Rafim cheekily covers her eyes while the armored woman looks on, completely flustered by the scene. The armored woman, Cynthia, glares with swirling eyes, questioning why he was crying on another woman. Desmond frantically tries to explain the misunderstanding to a furious Cynthia. Cynthia's face burns with embarrassment and anger, unable to process the situation. The scene shifts to the Maze Association, the organization overseeing all adventurers and dungeons. Inside, a furious adventurer slams his fist against a wall, startling his companions. A red-haired woman tries to restrain the enraged man, identified as Adele, urging him to calm down. Adele explodes with rage, refusing to be placated and questioning how he could possibly be calm. He reveals the source of his fury. His B-rank party has been humiliatingly demoted to C-rank. His party members somberly accept their fate, admitting they've been failing one dungeon after another. Adele overhears the mocking laughter of other adventurers, his face twisting in suppressed rage. The whispers reveal they've failed so badly they're now banned from B-rank dungeons entirely. Rival adventurers sneer that the once mighty Rising Star party might soon fall to D-rank. The crowd's mockery intensifies, finding immense humor in the party's spectacular fall from grace. Adele and his team stand isolated in the hall, surrounded by the jeers of their peers. His mage sadly admits their past arrogance is why so many people now hate them. Adele finally snaps, unleashing a furious roar at the weaklings who dare to mock him. He lunges at a nearby adventurer, grabbing him by the collar as his companion cries out in alarm. His teammates desperately try to restrain him, warning that a fight will only worsen their problems. The adventurer Adele is holding smirks, completely unfazed by the threat. He mocks Adele's grip, noting the complete lack of strength behind it, shocking Adele's teammates. Onlookers jeer, questioning if the fallen party was ever truly strong as Adele's friends struggle to pull him away. His teammates finally drag him off, urging him to walk away from the humiliating confrontation. Nearby, another adventurer begins to spread a rumor about the true reason for their downfall. Adele's eyes widen as he overhears the gossip, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. The gossiper reveals that Espada's decline began when their quiet enchanter left, the same one who recently joined the Chevalier Garden. The word abandoned echoes in his mind, and his face contorts with a new wave of fury. Unable to take any more, Adele and his dejected party finally retreat from the hall. The three sit in defeated silence, the weight of their failure and the stinging truth settling upon them. The red-haired woman laments their lack of funds for a new enchanter, questioning their next move. Their mage reveals her tattered gear, explaining their constant dungeon failures have left them broke. The woman sighs in frustration, realizing they're spiraling into debt and facing bankruptcy. Their tank grimly adds that another failure could get their adventurer tags confiscated, ending their careers. Adele bites his thumb, his face a mask of seething rage and humiliation. He grits his teeth, trembling with fury as the reality of their situation sinks in. The tank admits the rumor about Desmond is bothering him, forcing the team to confront the truth. They all agree their downward spiral began the moment their former enchanter left the party. The red-haired woman notes that beyond their failures, she's been feeling physically unwell and heavy. The mage chimes in, complaining of constant fatigue and bad luck, as if a curse has fallen upon them. Adele's eyes widen with a bloodshot fury as he places all the blame on one person. His teammates turn to him in confusion, sensing his sudden shift in demeanor. He slams his foot down in a fit of rage, declaring that their downfall is all Desmond's fault. Convinced of a conspiracy, Adele accuses their former enchanter of placing a curse on them. His mind snaps, consumed by a violent desire for revenge against the man he believes ruined him. The red-haired woman tries to reason with him, nervously questioning if he's sure about his accusation. Just then, a mysterious voice cuts in, calling their desperate situation pitiful. Adel's enraged gaze shifts, locking onto the source of the condescending remark. A pair of polished shoes steps into view, heralding the arrival of a stranger. A smiling, silver-haired man appears, cheerfully announcing that he knows all about Desmond. The stranger claims he once teamed up with Desmond, calling him the worst enchanter he's ever seen. He dismisses his own identity, offering his help to the desperate party with a disarming smile. Adele's party is suspicious, questioning the stranger's sudden and convenient offer of assistance. A dangerous glint appears in his eye as he confirms his desire to help them. With a menacing grin, he reveals his true motive, to help them get revenge on Desmond using a special method. The scene shifts to a peaceful town, a stark contrast to the brewing conspiracy. The focus lands on the magnificent Great Library of Bristol, a center of knowledge. Inside, Desmond is engrossed in his studies, surrounded by towering stacks of books. He looks up from his reading, completely unaware of the plot being hatched against him. He reflects on the depth of enchantment magic, determined to learn everything he can about his own abilities. He chuckles, realizing he's been relying too blindly on the uniqueness of his multiplication skill. But a passage in the book sends a jolt through him, revealing a shocking new application for his power. He discovers the concept of layering enchantment magic, a technique he'd never even considered. The book explains how layering his multiplication could result in an exponential, game-breaking power boost. The sheer, unbelievable potential of this method leaves him completely awestruck. He reflects that he was content just having his unique skill, never imagining it could be pushed to such an extreme. His excitement quickly fades as he reads that this powerful technique is actually a forbidden, illegal art. Just as he's about to learn the reason for the prohibition, a familiar voice calls out his name. He turns to find Cynthia standing behind him, clad in her signature white cloak and armor. He leaps to his feet in a panic, frantically shushing her to avoid disturbing the library's sacred silence. He asks what she's doing here, and Cynthia explains she finished a mission and had some free time. She admits she heard he was at the library and decided to come check on him. Leaning in closer, she praises his admirable dedication to his studies. Her sudden proximity and pleasant scent send Desmond into a blushing, flustered mess. Cynthia watches his adorable reaction with a gentle, knowing smile. He recoils slightly, completely overwhelmed by how close she is. His mind short-circuits, and he can only think about how wonderful libraries are. Cynthia simply gazes at him, radiating an aura of serene beauty. Desmond is struck once again by her stunning appearance. He reflects on her beauty, kindness, and S-rank strength, understanding why she is so popular. A sudden breeze seems to pass as Desmond and Cynthia realize they are no longer alone. Their quiet study session is interrupted as a crowd of onlookers gasps in shock at Cynthia's presence. Realizing they've drawn unwanted attention, Cynthia urgently tells Desmond they need to leave. The librarian tries to quiet the commotion, but the other patrons are too busy marveling at the famous S-rank adventurer. The whispers spread, identifying Cynthia as the rumored Iceblood Princess, causing her to hide her blushing face. Desmond glances back, puzzled by her nickname as Cynthia's embarrassment grows. Flustered, Cynthia grabs his wrist with her armored hand, determined to escape the growing crowd. The onlookers are stunned to see the stoic princess holding hands with an unknown man, questioning his identity. The rumor mill churns as they speculate if he's her lover, sending both Desmond and Cynthia into a blushing panic. Cynthia frantically pulls him away, desperate to escape the embarrassing situation, while Desmond looks back in alarm. A mortified Cynthia stomps away from the crowd, dragging a bewildered Desmond in her wake. Desmond glances back, trying to process their sudden and chaotic escape. Under her hood, Cynthia's blush deepens as she tries to hide her overwhelming embarrassment. She leads him into a secluded hallway, finally finding a moment of privacy away from prying eyes. His focus shifts to her armored hand holding his, the unexpected contact sending a jolt through him. Desmond's face turns beet red as the reality of the situation fully sinks in. Despite his flustered state, a small, happy smile forms on his lips. She turns to him with a radiant smile, the awkwardness of the moment replaced by genuine happiness. As they walk, she quietly apologizes for the commotion she caused. Cynthia admits she only wanted to visit, regretting that she interrupted his important research. He reassures her that it's fine, explaining he can always return to his studies later. With a beaming smile, he admits he's much happier spending time with her instead. His heartfelt confession leaves Cynthia blushing, her expression softening as she looks at him. But his mood shifts as he suddenly asks about her Iceblood Princess nickname, causing her to panic. She sighs in resignation, explaining that S-rank adventurers often get nicknames without even realizing it. He finds this concept interesting, recalling that Rafim is known by the intimidating title Crimson Madness. Cynthia elaborates that Rafim's intense battle lust earned her the terrifying moniker Blood Demon, which horrifies Desmond. He breaks into a cold sweat, recalling how incredible her power was, even when she was holding back against him.
He then turns his attention back to Cynthia, wondering if her beauty is the reason for the ice and princess parts of her title.
A radiant, knowing smile spreads across her face, her green eyes sparkling with amusement. He admits he's eager to one day witness her legendary S-rank combat skills in person. Their peaceful moment is shattered as two of his party members, Rin and Garand, rush toward them in a panic. Desmond and Cynthia turn to their frantic friends, demanding to know what has caused such a commotion. They deliver the shocking news that has them terrified. Dorothy has been kidnapped. The scene shifts as the sun begins to set, casting a golden glow over the sky. They rush back to the Chevalier Garden, the situation growing more desperate by the minute. The group confronts Rafim, who demands a clear explanation for the sudden panic. Rafim reveals she sent Dorothy on an errand, but she never came back, and even her magic can't locate her. She grimly concludes that Dorothy was taken by someone powerful enough to completely mask their presence. Without a second thought, Desmond bolts from the room, determined to find answers. A guard rushes in, reporting that the city's mercenaries have captured two suspicious individuals. He reveals their shocking demand. They will only reveal Dorothy's whereabouts if they can speak to Desmond. The unexpected demand leaves Desmond utterly bewildered, questioning his involvement. He frantically questions his connection to the kidnapping, but the guard has no answer for him. The guard then reveals the final shocking detail. The captives are members of his old party, Espada. The scene shifts to the city's detention center as evening falls. Desmond and his party arrive at the mercenary headquarters, where his former teammates are being held. Behind bars, his former teammate greets him with a somber look, noting his long-awaited arrival. She explains that ever since he left their party, everything has gone wrong for them. The tank then reveals a mysterious stranger approached them, offering a sinister plan for revenge against him. He listens with grim focus as his former teammate reveals the stranger's name was Gin. The tank explains Gin's plan was to kidnap Dorothy, the quietest one, to specifically lure Desmond into a trap. They recall trying to stop Adele, but their leader was too consumed by Gin's terrifying influence to listen. A flashback shows Adele violently casting his own party members aside, completely blinded by rage. After being overpowered, they were discarded and forced to act as messengers for the sinister stranger. They deliver the ultimatum: come to Crystal Hollows alone and leave the S-rank members of Chevalier Garden behind. Cynthia and Rafim listen as the final chilling condition is revealed: bring backup, and Dorothy dies. His face darkens as they reveal he has a strict time limit to comply with their demands. Desmond's expression hardens, his eyes filled with a cold, unwavering determination. As the sun sets, the race against time to save Dorothy officially begins. The scene shifts to the dark and treacherous Crystal Hollows where the trap has been set. Golden stalactites hang ominously from the cavern ceiling, casting an eerie glow. The vast crystalline cavern reveals the stage for the coming confrontation. A single boot steps onto the crystal-laden ground, announcing Desmond's arrival. On a high ledge, Adele and the mysterious Jinn wait with a captive Dorothy. Desmond and his party arrive, looking up at the grim scene before them. Bound and helpless, Dorothy calls out to her friends, her eyes pleading for help. Her friends cry out her name in a mix of horror and righteous fury. A cold, hard resolve settles into Desmond's eyes, replacing his initial shock. He glares up at the ledge, his focus locked on his former party leader, Adele. Adele's face contorts with rage, furious that Desmond didn't come alone as instructed. The sinister Jin smirks, dismissing Desmond's friends as weaklings that Adele can easily dispose of. Desmond shouts back, questioning Adele's sanity and insisting they could have resolved their issues peacefully. Adele grits his teeth, his fury reaching a boiling point as he rejects the offer to talk. He explodes with rage, accusing Desmond of ruining his party's reputation with a malicious curse. Completely bewildered, Desmond can only listen as Adele blames him for the destruction of everything they had built. Desmond vehemently denies the absurd accusation, utterly confused by the mention of a curse. Jin mockingly taunts Desmond, calling him pathetic for allegedly casting a curse after being kicked out. A dangerous glint appears in Desmond's eyes as Gin declares that Adele is fully justified in seeking revenge. Rin steps forward, demanding Jin's identity and threatening to take action if they don't release Dorothy immediately. Garen steps forward, declaring they are not weaklings, and that with Desmond's enchantments, victory is certain. Jin lets out a condescending laugh, completely unfazed by their confidence. He reveals his affiliation with a sinister group that loots, steals, and conducts research on humans and monsters. Jin elaborates on their research, holding up a syringe filled with a mysterious red substance. In a shocking move, Gin injects the bewildered Adele with the syringe, a wicked grin on his face. Desmond and his friends can only watch in stunned horror at the sudden betrayal. Adele clutches his neck in agony, demanding to know what Gin has done to him. With a maniacal laugh, Gin reveals he only brought Adele along to be used as a pawn. Adele screams as a horrifying transformation begins, his body contorting into a monstrous form. His hand twists into a grotesque claw as the agonizing change consumes him. Jin sneers, declaring he has no time to waste on these weaklings. Desmond and his friends cry out in shock, horrified by the agonizing screams. A terrified Dorothy watches helplessly as her captor undergoes a horrifying change. Adele's body erupts in a violent, painful transformation. Jin grins sadistically, revealing his plan to let the weak destroy each other. The transformation completes, leaving Adele a grotesque, monstrous beast. The new creature writhes in agony, its mind consumed by the excruciating pain. From below, Desmond watches as the monster on the ledge begs for an end to its suffering. The creature's eyes, now bloodshot and inhuman, lock onto Desmond with pure, unthinking rage. Desmond's eyes widen, reflecting the terrifying monster that was once his rival. A single desperate plea for help escapes the creature's lips as its humanity fades away. Desmond cries out his former rival's name, watching in horror as the transformation consumes him. A monstrous roar erupts from the ledge, shaking the very foundations of the crystal cavern. He braces himself against the powerful shockwave, the force of the roar pushing him back. Desmond's expression hardens, his focus shifting from his rival to the beast he has become. His eyes widen, reflecting the immense scale of the newly born monster. A massive draconic tail whips through the air, shattering crystals in its path. The full, terrifying form of the beast is revealed, a weeping dragon that towers over the party. Desmond stares in utter disbelief, struggling to comprehend the monstrous being before him. The creature's face is now a mask of spikes and glowing red eyes, its transformation into a true monster complete. Rin stares up in terror, unable to comprehend the monstrous beast towering over them. A bead of sweat rolls down Desmond's face as the sheer scale of the threat sinks in. Realizing they are outmatched, he screams for his companions to flee for their lives. Before they can react, the monster unleashes a devastating attack that shatters the cavern floor. The powerful shockwave sends massive crystals raining down from the cavern ceiling. In a desperate move, Desmond summons a massive crystal golem to shield them from the blast. The immense effort leaves him drained and struggling to stay conscious on the ground. He turns to find his friends were caught in the blast, knocked down despite his protection. Rin lies injured on the ground, her face contorted in pain from the powerful impact. Garand is also down, looking dazed and helpless after the overwhelming assault. Desmond frantically calls out, checking if his injured teammates are all right. He turns back to the towering beast, the sheer scale of his former rival's new form sinking in. His face pales, a cold sweat breaking out as he grapples with the terrifying reality. He swallows hard, struggling to believe that the man who stood there moments ago is now this creature. Needing answers, Desmond activates his appraisal eye skill, his gaze locking onto the monster. The results flash before his eyes, revealing the creature's name is still Adele, but its race is now Hydra. He stares in disbelief, utterly shocked that the appraisal confirms the monster is a Hydra. The information confirms his worst fears. The monster is undeniably Adele, somehow transformed. He looks at the grotesque beast, his mind reeling at the impossible sight of a human becoming a monster. A surge of righteous fury cuts through his fear, realizing this transformation is an act of pure evil. He's horrified as he reads the monster's stats, which are completely off the charts. He quickly calculates the beast's power is A+ rank, far beyond what his enchantments can handle. Amidst the dust and debris, he spots Dorothy, who has surprisingly survived the initial blast. She confirms she's all right, explaining the shockwave conveniently severed her restraints. A new threat looms, and Desmond instinctively throws himself over Dorothy to protect her. The monstrous tail crashes down, obliterating the spot where they just stood. He stares in terror, knowing a direct hit from that attack would have meant instant death. With the exit blocked by rubble from the earlier attack, he grimly accepts there's no escape. Rin bravely volunteers to act as a decoy, but Desmond immediately shuts down her reckless plan. He knows that even with his strongest buffs, they stand no chance against the Hydra that was once Adele. Rin frantically questions Desmond, desperate to know his plan in their hopeless situation. A shadow falls over Desmond's face, his expression hardening with grim resolve. He quietly declares that there is only one way for them to survive this encounter. His teammates stare in stunned silence, waiting to hear his desperate gambit. With unwavering determination, Desmond announces he will use the enchantment layering technique. Dorothy immediately panics, recognizing the name of the infamous forbidden art. His friends try to stop him, reminding him that using such a technique is the ultimate taboo. He calmly insists that, despite the grave risks, this is their only remaining option. Desmond explains that layering will allow him to multiply his enchantments exponentially, creating limitless power. As Rin gets excited about the power boost, Desmond clarifies that he will be using the dangerous technique on himself. Dorothy frantically warns him that the forbidden art has a devastating side effect. Rin stares in shocked silence, her concern for Desmond mounting. The grim truth is revealed. The spell destroys the user's body, and at worst, it could be fatal. She desperately pleads with him to stop, explaining exactly why the technique is a taboo. Desmond raises his hand, signaling his unwavering decision to proceed despite the danger. He turns to his worried friends, preparing to explain his impossible choice. He reminds them that the monstrous Hydra is Adele, his former party member. A flashback shows their bitter history, recalling how terribly their partnership ended. He confesses that he feels partly responsible for Adele's tragic fate. With grim determination, Desmond insists this is a responsibility he must face alone. Dorothy looks on with deep concern, her heart aching for him. He steps forward, leaving his worried friends behind to face the monster alone. He stands his ground, a lone figure against the overwhelming might of the monstrous Hydra. The beast's glowing red eyes lock onto him, radiating pure, unadulterated malice. He recalls his time with his new party, realizing he finally understands the meaning of true camaraderie. With this new understanding, he regrets not trying harder to resolve their issues peacefully. He shouts that instead of just leaving, he should have fought to make them understand his value. He acknowledges his own fault, admitting that while they abandoned him, he also gave up on them. He declares to the beast that their separation was a mutual failure, a burden he also carries. His hand tightens on his cloak, his resolve hardening as he prepares to atone for his past. He declares that this is their chance to finally settle things once and for all. His voice trembles with emotion as he vows to do the things he failed to do in the past. He screams his resolve to the monstrous beast, determined to make things right this time. In response, the Hydra unleashes a torrent of malevolent purple energy from its maw. The crackling beam of pure power shoots forward, aimed directly at the lone enchanter. Desmond stands firm, bracing himself as the massive orb of destruction barrels towards him. With a steely gaze, he channels his own magic, his staff glowing with a vibrant green light. The monster's attack slams into the ground, erupting in a cataclysmic, cavern-shaking explosion. As the dust begins to clear, it's revealed that Desmond has successfully cast his enchantment magic. A status window confirms he has applied his core enhancements for strength, vitality, agility, and endurance. With his base enchantment set, he begins the forbidden art, applying a second layer of power. The 4 enhancements flash again as the second layer successfully takes hold. He pushes further, initiating a 3rd layer of enchantments, ignoring the immense strain. Not stopping there, he stacks a 4th layer, multiplying his power exponentially. His status window flickers, displaying his original meager stats for a brief moment. The numbers blur and shake violently, struggling to keep up with the overwhelming surge. His stats then explode, skyrocketing into the millions in a display of terrifying power. Raw energy crackles around him, the sheer pressure causing the ground to fracture beneath his feet. He stands transformed, his status window displaying stats that have soared to unimaginable levels. Overflowing with newfound power, he roars a challenge to the monstrous beast that was once his rival. The monstrous hydra unleashes a furious roar, its rage shaking the very foundations of the cavern. Its 6 malevolent eyes fixate on Desmond, steam rising from its nostrils in anticipation of the kill. Unfazed, Desmond meets its gaze, his own eyes burning with the golden light of his forbidden power. The beast lunges, its mind consumed by a singular, primal instinct to destroy him. Its massive jaws open wide, threatening to swallow the lone enchanter in a single, devastating bite. But Desmond meets the attack head-on, landing a supercharged punch that stops the monster in its tracks. His friends can only watch in utter shock, calling out his name as he defies all logic. His hand, now a conduit for unimaginable power, crackles with the energy of the layered enchantments. With a surge of raw strength, he forces the beast's jaws apart from the inside, a feat of impossible might. In a stunning display, he effortlessly flips the colossal creature, sending it crashing to the cavern floor. He grits his teeth, straining under the immense pressure of the forbidden magic. With a furious battle cry, he unleashes a shockwave of pure, unadulterated energy. Desmond smashes his fist into the ground, shattering the crystal floor with a single, devastating blow. The hydra reels, roaring in agony and disbelief at the sudden turn of events. The beast tries to crush him, coiling its massive body around the lone enchanter. But he effortlessly breaks free, leaping high into the air with his newfound agility. His eyes gleam with golden light, his focus absolute as he prepares his next move. He channels the layered enchantments into his fist, preparing to deliver a decisive blow. He unleashes a thunderous punch, striking the monster's head with overwhelming force. The beast staggers back, its jaw unhinged as it prepares to unleash a fiery counterattack. Rin and Garand watch in stunned silence, unable to believe Desmond just landed a blow on the hydra. Enraged, the beast unleashes a devastating beam of purple energy, aiming to obliterate him. Surrounded by his golden aura, Desmond meets the monster's fury with cold, unshakable resolve. The hydra brings its massive clawed hand down, intending to crush him in a single swift motion. Desmond stands his ground, bracing himself against the immense pressure of the incoming attack. With a look of pure focus, he prepares to counter the beast's overwhelming might. He catches the colossal claw with one hand, his forbidden power easily stopping the monster's assault. With a furious grimace, he pushes back against the beast's spiked tail, refusing to yield. His enchanted hand digs into the creature's hide, the golden energy crackling as he overpowers it. He plants his foot, the sheer force of his stance shattering the crystal floor beneath him. With a furious roar, Desmond unleashes the full might of his layered enchantments. He channels his impossible strength, lifting the colossal beast and preparing to throw it. His friends can only stare in stunned silence, their minds unable to process the incredible sight. In a breathtaking display of power, he hurls the monstrous hydra across the cavern. He pants heavily, the immense power of the forbidden art clearly taking a toll on his body. His teammates are left speechless, realizing the hydra is completely overwhelmed by his power. The beast's eyes burn with pure hatred as it glares at the man who has so thoroughly humiliated it. Towering over him once more, the enraged hydra lets out a deafening roar of defiance. A sinister purple energy begins to gather around its body, signaling a far more dangerous attack. Dorothy and Rin sense the shift in power, realizing the battle is about to enter a new, terrifying phase. The hydra unleashes its strongest attack, a devastating tail strike aimed directly at the lone enchanter. A cataclysmic shockwave erupts from the point of impact, shaking the entire cavern. His friends watch with a mix of terror and awe, their faith in Desmond unwavering. The force of the blow causes massive crystals to rain down from the cavern ceiling. Amidst the dust and debris, the monstrous beast rises, its glowing red eye searching for its target. Its 6 malevolent eyes narrow, locking onto Desmond with pure, unthinking malice. Undeterred, Desmond leaps through the air, shouting his former rival's name as he goes on the offensive. He channels the full force of the forbidden art into his fist, preparing to end the fight. A single unwavering glint of golden light shines in his eye, reflecting his grim resolve. The hydra's blood-red eyes meet his, reflecting nothing but the monster's bottomless rage. He connects with a devastating punch, unleashing the full might of his forbidden power. The impact zone on the creature's head glows with intense energy as it recoils in agony. The monstrous hydra stumbles back, visibly stunned and disoriented by the overwhelming blow. With a final shuddering crash, the colossal beast collapses to the cavern floor, seemingly defeated. His friends can only watch from a distance as the dust settles around the fallen monster. Desmond pants heavily, the golden aura of his forbidden magic flickering as he struggles with exhaustion. His party stares in disbelief, wondering if he has truly managed to win the impossible fight. But their relief is short-lived as the hydra's body begins to glow with a sinister purple energy. Rin cries out in alarm, realizing the battle is far from over. Desmond, however, simply wipes his mouth with a confident smirk, unfazed by the creature's revival. A blinding flash of purple light erupts from the fallen beast, signaling another transformation. Its monstrous form rapidly shrinks, the dark, scaly hide melting away. The grotesque claws retract as the transformation reverses, the hand regaining a human-like shape. The last traces of the monstrous form vanish, revealing a normal human hand in its place. In the monster's place lies Adele, unconscious and returned to his original human form. Rin looks on in utter shock, realizing with disbelief that Adele has returned to normal. Still glowing with forbidden power, Desmond stands over the unconscious form of his former rival. His gaze softens as he looks down at the unconscious man, quietly acknowledging his rival's return. His friends, drawn in a moment of levity, believe with relieved certainty that they have won. The party erupts into cheers, celebrating what they believe is Desmond's absolute victory. Unconscious on the ground, Adele mutters about victory, completely unaware of the true cost. Desmond lets out a relieved laugh, the golden aura of his power still crackling around him. But his smile fades, replaced by a grim understanding as a new reality sets in. His hand begins to tremble violently, the first sign that the forbidden magic is demanding its price. He stumbles, his legs struggling to support him as the immense power starts to tear his body apart. His eyes widen in agony as he realizes the devastating side effects of the layering technique have begun. His friends can only watch in horror, their celebration turning to sheer terror. Desmond screams, his body racked with unimaginable pain as the forbidden art ravages his system. Status windows flash before him, listing a catastrophic cascade of internal injuries and nerve damage. He stands alone on the shattered ground, a solitary figure facing the grim consequences of his sacrifice. He throws his head back, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated agony. Desmond collapses, slamming into the hard cavern floor as his friends cry out in terror. His party panics, desperately trying to figure out how to save him from the brink of death. Lying on the ground, Desmond struggles to stay conscious, disbelief etched on his face. He realizes with dawning horror that his entire body is completely paralyzed. Every nerve screams as he feels the forbidden magic literally tearing him apart from the inside. As if things weren't bad enough, the cavern ceiling begins to crumble once more. The party looks up in alarm as massive, sharp crystals begin to rain down upon them. Suddenly, a furious Adele jolts awake, screaming Desmond's name with pure rage. Standing over the paralyzed hero, Adele accuses him of betrayal, completely oblivious to the sacrifice Desmond just made. Rin furiously confronts Adele, calling him the worst kind of adventurer for his ignorance. Even the gentle Dorothy snaps, wishing for an end to Adele's worthless accusations. Adele roars back, demanding silence, completely overwhelmed by their unified anger. Rin and Garand are taken aback, stunned by Dorothy's uncharacteristic outburst. Rin questions Dorothy's harshness, unable to believe she could be so cruel after what Desmond has been through. Through tears, Dorothy reveals that Desmond could have used his enchantments on Adele instead of himself. Adele's face twists in confusion, not understanding the implications of her words. Dorothy explains the grim truth. The layering technique is a forbidden art that inevitably destroys the caster's body. Crying, she insists that Desmond never had to fight Adele head-on in the first place. She reveals he could have easily won by hiding and casting spells, forcing the monster to collapse on its own. She screams that the technique is not just taboo, but an act strictly forbidden by law. Through tears, she admits she expected him to use the forbidden art on Adele, not himself. The truth hits Adele hard. Desmond chose a path of self-destruction to save his rival. Dorothy reveals he faced the monster directly to help Adele as a true comrade. She furiously declares that Adele's failure to understand Desmond's character is what led to his exile. Adele is left speechless as she insists Desmond was always a valuable and important teammate. The shocking revelation finally dawns on Adele, his ignorance shattered. Dorothy tearfully pleads with him to stop his accusations and not cause Desmond any more pain. Lying paralyzed, Desmond's face shows a flicker of weary resignation. Just then, a mysterious figure in black boots appears, looming over the devastated party. The newcomer clicks his tongue, dismissing their emotional display as utterly pointless. He coldly mocks their tearful drama, calling the potion that transformed Adele a complete failure. Rin's eyes widen in a flash of sudden, horrified recognition. The man smirks, crackling with malevolent purple energy as he casually acknowledges them. He draws his blade, the weapon glowing with a sinister, murderous intent. With a cruel grin, he declares that eliminating such weaklings will be an easy task. He unleashes a devastating wave of purple energy, sweeping across the cavern towards them. The powerful blast sends the party flying, with Garand desperately trying to shield the others. Adele can only watch in speechless horror as his former comrades are effortlessly struck down. The mysterious assailant stands over them, coolly announcing their impending demise. With a sadistic grin, he unleashes another devastating wave of purple energy. The overwhelming torrent of energy rushes directly towards the defenseless Adele. Adele looks on in horror, completely powerless to stop the incoming blast. A flash of defiance crosses Desmond's face as he refuses to let his rival perish. In a final desperate act, he forces his trembling hand forward. The deadly projectile is suddenly stopped, colliding with an invisible force right before it hits Adele. Adele stares in wide-eyed shock, completely baffled by his sudden rescue. The assailant's smug expression turns to one of furious disbelief. A flicker of confusion crosses Desmond's face, as if even he is surprised by what happened. Suddenly, the villain is yanked forward, pulled irresistibly towards the paralyzed hero. Desmond stares in utter confusion, questioning why the villain is being pulled toward him. The assailant cries out, unable to resist the mysterious force dragging him forward. A look of horror crosses Desmond's face as he realizes Adele has moved to intercept the attack. Adele plants himself firmly between the villain and the defenseless Desmond. Taking the devastating blow head-on, Adele is thrown back, shielding his former rival. Desmond cries out, completely baffled by Adele's sudden and selfless sacrifice. Lying gravely wounded, Adele asks why Desmond protected him in the first place. With his remaining strength, Adele weakly tells his rival to be quiet. Helpless on the ground, Desmond watches in anguish as Adele bleeds out. Adele gives a faint, determined smile, declaring that comrades save each other no matter the cost. Desmond stares in disbelief, his mind reeling from Adele's selfless act of camaraderie. Tears stream down his face as he whispers his former rival's name in anguish. The villain brutally kicks the downed Adele, showing no mercy to the wounded man. Adele coughs up blood, the force of the blow leaving him gasping in agony. Overcome with rage, Desmond screams at the villain to stay away from Adele. The assailant mocks Desmond's powerless rage, feigning deafness with a cruel smile. With a sadistic grin, he dismisses Desmond's pleas, declaring he has no time for a dead man's words. Desmond's face contorts with desperate fury as he struggles against his paralysis. Suddenly, a massive blast of blue energy erupts, announcing that someone else is still in the fight. The villain whirls around in shock, completely caught off guard by the unexpected intervention. Two new figures arrive on the scene, their presence announced by a voice commending the hero's efforts. A pair of powerful women, one a knight and the other a grinning blindfolded priestess, declare they are taking over the fight. The villain stares in disbelief, recognizing the legendary adventurers who have just appeared. He grits his teeth in frustration, realizing he's now facing S-rankers whose power dwarfs his own. In a desperate move, the assailant pulls out a syringe, his original plan to escape now completely ruined. He screams at the newcomers to halt, trying to regain control of the rapidly deteriorating situation. The villain grabs the paralyzed Desmond, holding a syringe of deadly poison to his neck as a hostage. The needle presses against Desmond's skin, a clear and immediate threat to his life. With a twisted grin, the assailant boasts that he can end Desmond's life in an instant. Suddenly, a flash of blue energy strikes the villain, interrupting his threat with a powerful blow. The villain reels in shock, a trickle of blood marking the corner of his mouth. A brilliant blue slash of energy cuts across his back, catching him completely off guard. Lying paralyzed, Desmond has a sudden moment of clarity, finally understanding the truth about one of the newcomers. He recalls a past moment, remembering a rumor about the legendary knight's fearsome nickname. The knight's attack continues, a torrent of blue energy pinning the villain in place. The assailant cries out as the powerful strike overwhelms him, sending him stumbling backward. The female S-ranker stands over him, her immense presence dwarfing the now helpless villain. She silences him with a cold glare, her disdain for him perfectly clear. Desmond realizes her reputation isn't just about her overwhelming strength. He understands now that her nickname also comes from her absolute, chilling ruthlessness. He finally understands her moniker, the Iceblood Princess, as he witnesses her chilling efficiency. The blindfolded priestess cheerfully notes that the villain is now completely out of commission. Ignoring her partner's teasing, the knight furiously demands she stop joking and start healing. The knight kneels beside the fallen hero, her professional demeanor replaced with genuine concern for his condition. He reveals the grim truth to her. His injuries are the price of his forbidden magic, and no healing spell can reverse them. He despairs, realizing his paralysis means his adventuring days are over, and he must break a cherished childhood promise. As the dust settles, the tumultuous chapter of their lives finally draws to a close. The quiet halls of the Chevalier Garden stand in stark contrast to the chaos of the cavern. They arrive at the infirmary, a place of healing that offers little hope for his unique condition. The storm of revenge has passed, leaving him to confront the quiet, uncertain reality of his new life. The scene shifts to a quiet, sterile hallway, a stark contrast to the previous chaos. A sign confirms their location, the infirmary, a place of recovery and reflection. Desmond lies in bed, flustered as his party members enthusiastically try to feed him. He insists he can manage on his own, but his friends urge him not to overexert himself, creating a sense of déjà vu. Suddenly, another group of adventurers bursts in, loudly announcing their intent to care for the immobilized hero. Desmond confirms that the newcomers have fully recovered, thanks to the high-quality treatment they received. Adele expresses his shock, recounting the grim news that Desmond's body was wrecked by untreatable side effects. His expression grows serious as he recalls the seemingly impossible turn of events. Adele reveals he heard the side effects were erased by a commander's miracle, but the commander clarifies he absorbed the effects himself. Desmond looks down, solemnly explaining that the commander sacrificed his own well-being to save him. The commander smiles, gently reframing Desmond's guilt into a point of pride. He explains that protecting his team is a commander's duty, especially since he's retiring from adventuring. Dorothy sighs, exasperated by the commander's unwavering selflessness. Desmond argues back, pointing out the severity of the commander's new condition and his own use of the forbidden art. He reveals he was pardoned for his actions, but his party seems unimpressed with his excuses. The commander simply brushes off Desmond's concerns, reassuring him that everything is fine. He clarifies that the higher-ups prioritize Desmond's future over his own, given his semi-retired status. With a proud smile, the commander calls it an honor to sacrifice himself for a promising young talent. A sudden realization hits Desmond, who interjects that the commander's condition might not be permanent. He recalls that the dungeon they were exploring still holds undiscovered items that could be the key to a cure. He theorizes that the dungeon might hold a legendary item capable of healing any physical affliction. The commander confidently agrees, stating it's entirely plausible such a cure exists within its depths. He then tasks Desmond with finding this item as a way to take responsibility, calling it an act of true teamwork. Filled with a new sense of purpose, Desmond clenches his fist in silent determination. His eyes burn with resolve as he wholeheartedly accepts the mission, promising to find the cure. The rest of the party, including the S-rank knight, enthusiastically volunteer to join the quest. Lying in bed, the commander smiles, announcing he has an immediate and important mission for Desmond. The scene transitions to a large hall, where the sound of a gathering crowd fills the air. A massive crowd of adventurers has assembled, all looking towards a grand balcony in anticipation. Murmurs spread through the assembly as they speculate about the announcement, worriedly discussing the commander's hospitalization. A commanding voice from the balcony silences the restless crowd below. A woman steps forward, confirming the commander's hospitalization and announcing a new mission. As she continues her announcement, another figure steps into view, preparing to be revealed. To his own surprise, Desmond is named the acting commander of the 5th Brigade until Brant recovers. The crowd erupts in disbelief, shocked by the sudden promotion of the newcomer. Flustered by the sudden attention, Desmond struggles to find the right words to address the assembly. He acknowledges his inexperience and admits he expects many to have complaints about his new role, but he vows to risk his life for them all, only to be cut short by an unexpected voice of support from the crowd. His former party members rally behind him, vowing to silence anyone who dares to question his leadership. Desmond is left speechless, taken aback by the unwavering faith and support from his fellow adventurers. Overwhelmed with emotion, Desmond tearfully accepts his new responsibility and the trust of his comrades. With their new mission set, the party strides forward, ready to face the challenges ahead. His friends cheer him on, their unwavering support giving him the strength to lead. Meanwhile, the 2 S-rankers secretly plot to join the next expedition, eager for action. The stoic knight can't hide her desire to go, much to the amusement of her grinning partner. As they prepare to leave, a familiar bandaged hand waves them down for a final word. A flirty adventurer makes a bold invitation to Desmond, much to the annoyance of a jealous Rin. Desmond awkwardly ignores the escalating rivalry, trying to stay focused on his mission. His light-hearted mood vanishes as he glances at a window, reminded of the man who sacrificed everything for him. He sees the commander, weakened but not broken, being watched over by concerned allies in the infirmary. The commander offers a confident wave from his bed, his resolve unshaken despite the breathing mask. Desmond returns the gesture with a bright smile, his determination renewed. With renewed purpose, the party sets out from the guild hall, ready for their next adventure. The commander watches their departure from his window, a woman at his side confident in his choice. The scene transitions to a bright sunny day, marking the start of their new quest. Their quest brings them back to the gaping maw of the dungeon, a place of both trauma and hope. Now the acting commander, Desmond confidently announces their entry, his team fired up and ready behind him. Rin, however, charges ahead with reckless enthusiasm, leaving her new commander scrambling to keep up. The scene shifts to a flashback, revealing the fate of the villain after his defeat by the S-Rankers. He lies still and broken, a testament to the overwhelming power of the Ice Blood Princess. A mysterious woman stands over the defeated villain, chiding him for being a handful. She summons a glowing green energy, preparing to cast a powerful spell. A torrent of restorative magic washes over the villain's broken form. He coughs, slowly regaining consciousness under the spell's influence. His eyes snap open, burning with renewed fury as the magic takes hold. Revived, he swears vengeance against the S-Ranker who so easily defeated him. His cloaked superior calmly asks if his mission yielded any useful discoveries. He clenches his fist, confirming that he found someone of great interest. He names his target, Desmond Strife, the enchanter who wielded incredible power. A sinister glint appears in the woman's eye, her interest piqued by this promising new pawn. The healing spell turns destructive, causing the villain's body to violently break apart. He screams in agony, desperately pleading with his superior to halt the spell. His eyes widen in terror as he realizes the recovery magic is completely annihilating him. The woman watches calmly as her subordinate's form dissolves into nothingness. She casually remarks that she went overboard again, showing no remorse for her actions. With a chilling smile, she now focuses on Desmond, her new person of interest.